everybody, and welcome. We are back for Knights of Eveningstar here on the D&D channel. I hope you are all well. I can confirm to Anna, who is wonderfully running the stream for us, that we do have audio, and it is coming through, which is a great thing. And we are here to play Knights of Eveningstar. It's a D&D show. I'm your Dungeon Master, Mark SherlockHulmes, and joining me, we have my wonderful friends from across the sea, far, far away from me. But we have the ever-lovely Anna Prosser. We have the wonderfully radiant Mica Burton. We have the handsome, dark, sexy Nate Sharp. And my beloved brother, my charming gentleman of a man, Jonathan Indovino, a.k.a. ShadyPenguinn.
Hey, hold on a second. What's going on?
What do you mean?
Are we playing?
You know, last time we played, you called me a sexy Sokka. That I could cosplay a sexy older Sokka.
Yeah.
So when you started off the introduction, I'm like, wow, Mark's really laying on thick. I'm going to be real happy tonight. And then you said Nathan Sharp, and I'm like, oh, that's true, I guess. Everything you said is true, but it's fine.
I said lovely things about you as well, Shady. Come on, you know.
No, you, Mark.
My comment still stands.
Uno reverse.
Uno reverse. Oh!
Got him.
The meme. But no, my comment still stands. You still make a sexy adult Sokka. But yeah, everyone's here is lovely. You're all radiant. You're all beautiful. You're all charming. And I'm very excited to play D&D with you again. We've had a couple of weeks. We had a weird Twitch tech issue, and then we had emergencies. And so we've not seen you in a while. We've not seen you at home. But we're here back, and we're going to be getting a little bit longer today. We're going to be playing an extra special long game of D&D. Nate is really keen to fight some stuff today, and I'm hoping that we can deliver on that. And I hope, fingers crossed, he doesn't come to regret that decision later on.
Bring it.
Bring it. Okay, nice. We have, as Anna mentioned in chat, we have no Dave today, but Anna is very kindly running the stream, so there might not be as much white text Dave friend nonsense.
There's going to be no white text friend.
There we go.
Anna is not going to do the white text friend. I will try to suffice as a substitute Dave, just in keeping the stream running.
Keep going. Yeah, that's the best thing we can get. So
look, I'll
gladly take that.
Witticisms are reserved for in-game play. I'm sorry. So chat, you are white text friend. You must be Dave.
Make up
for all of us.
Please be Dave. You are all Dave tonight, okay?
Vegan Dave alternative.
I'm vegan Dave. That's what I am.
Vegan Dave. You get no comedy with vegan Dave.
You get the nutrition, but maybe not quite the flavor.
The flavor. Right. Enough of this nonsense. Let's play some D&D. Unless there's something I've forgotten, Anna, because I'm really bad at doing these.
Nope. You didn't forget anything.
We're gonna play some Dungeons and Dragons.
You forgot one thing.
What did I forget?
Happy International Asexuality Day.
Boom.
Peace to all the asexual people out there and everybody under the ace umbrella.
Congrats and thank you, and happy Ace Day to all of our ace folks out there. Thank you very much, Mica. Well remembered. I have not been on the internet in about 4 days, and I'm unaware of pretty much everything going on. So thank you for covering my boomer ass of no knowledge. Thank you.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, that's accurate with me, so I don't take offense to it. Let us do a little recap for those of you who may have missed on our last couple of episodes. Our heroes of Eveningstar are currently investigating the mysterious Castle Braewinter, a ruined old castle in the northern mountains of Cormyr. They've been hired by Lady Vanifer Braewinter of Arabel to retrieve a family heirloom from the castle, a strange lantern made of onyx. The party have traveled to Castle Braewinter and discovered that something terrible happened here long ago, partially merging the castle with a shadowy realm of undeath. Exploring the keep, the party have encountered living shadows and monsters, as well as the gloomy residents of the Shadowfell, the Shadarkai. After taking a moment to rest in a haunted alchemy lab, the party seek to enter a mage's tower through a secret passageway. But first, they had to attend a dinner with a gaggle of undead. You are all currently sat around a long dining table in a richly decorated, or perhaps once richly decorated, banquet hall. Now it is all shades of gray. The tapestries long drained of their color. Everything has fallen into a slight state of disrepair and rot. There is no delicious food on offering. There is no wonderful wine. You have so far been served plates of gray, people, ash, dust. You have been served bones and a black slimy ichor, as well as some sort of putrefied liquid instead of wine. And the very last thing that happened is Lord Pharos, who is the kind of this undead creature that seems to be hosting this dinner, along with 2 other intelligent undead and a whole gaggle of zombies, has called for a dessert to be brought forward. A delicious putrefied human brain sitting within a open-topped skull. And the very last thing that happened was Tarkhal, being very sick from eating all of this, pretty much barfed all over the floor as this lovely dish was brought out. And that was where we left things off with our technical issues last time. And yeah, the undead look to you 4 gathered and kind of gesture towards this delicacy that's been brought out. And Lord Pharos just sort of says, well, who then shall be the first to take the first bite?
Azara got out of it by saying she was too drunk, if I remember correctly.
Yes, you did. And I think that there was a lot of kind of like pushing around. I believe Agnis had also weaseled her way out of it by complaining about piano lessons that these undead think that she's supposed to be taking. And
because I'm supposed to perform tonight, so I'm too nervous to eat.
They've mistaken you as some noble that is set to, some noble's daughter that's set to play piano for them, which has pretty much left Clive and Tarkhal, who to bear this burden, unless you wish to refuse the dish of this undead lord.
Clive was just, before we ended, was just, I don't want that.
Yeah. He's just like looked at it and was like, nope, not for me.
No, thank you.
Well, it seems that Lord Pharos kind of looks around. If my young boy here is too sick, none of you will partake in my hospitality. How rude.
I'll just eat like 3 courses.
And I'm still puking up. I don't feel that well, so I don't think I should eat. What is this again?
Ah, fine. The finest frozen cream brought from the very southern parts of Cormier. A delicacy very difficult to obtain here and keep stored cool and refreshing.
I think if I had gone the rest of my life without hearing the term brain cream, I would have been fine.
Well, that reality has sadly passed us by, Nate. Tarkhal, why don't you give me a persuasion check to try and kind of convince them that you are too unwell to consume this dish?
Well, luckily my modifier is a +12, so that's a crit too. That's a 20.
Whoa!
Oh my
32.
god!
Can I persuade him to do something extra because I got a crit?
I mean, well, you tell me. What do you say? What does Tarkhal say? You tell me.
Oh, I think this delicacy would go to waste on someone who would just expel it from their system. Maybe you should save this for after the recital, and if this lovely pianist wins, we can celebrate then.
Wise beyond your years, my young boy. You shall be a fine member of the family. Very well. We shall save the iced cream for later. He kind of gestures again. And the whole thing was brought out by this hunched back undead ghoul-like creature. And it kind of looks around, sneering at those of you who have refused this meal. And it kind of hunches itself back out into another room behind the dining chamber. And as it opens the door, you do get this kind of really strong smell of rot and decay wafting through the open doorways. But as it closes again, it seems to dilute. Lord Pharos looks around. He's like, well, it seems that our dinner has come to an end. My companions still, despite not enjoying the final course, a rather pleasant evening, I think. Yes, well, I must be off. Raedrin likely wishes to discuss matters before his presentation. You see him slowly creak as he pulls himself from the chair. These kind of bony, thin appendages, his arms, kind of the skin all taut and gaunt, kind of grips the chair as he picks himself up and pulls himself free. Very good. He looks around one more time, and then he begins making his way for the door that leads back out into the castle proper. And as he does, the other undead nobles kind of rise up to follow him, so the zombies all kind of fall into a kind of servant's train as they follow this undead lord out of the room.
Didn't we want to get something like behind the fireplace?
Yes, there's a secret passage behind the fireplace that goes up to the tower.
Okay. So we were hoping they would leave and let us do that.
Yep. After that, Azara will just look around and go, I'm genuinely surprised none of us are dead.
I feel like I'm halfway there.
We got a free meal. Now we're fueled up for the fight.
A meal? That was poison.
Uh,
How did you stomach that?
I've had worse.
You see just these plates of cleared bones and black slimy ichor in front of Clive, completely cleaned.
Clive, what did you have that was worse?
I'd rather not say.
And you know what? I'd rather not hear it. And then Azara will get up and start like patting around to see if she can
Sure,
find a-
given that there is no pressure, there's no time pressure here, you can still hear noises coming from that room that the ghoul took the ice cream back into. You can hear some kind of guttural grunts and snarling and clattering around. There are still creatures back there, and you can just faintly hear the sound of Lord Pharos talking as he makes his way back to another part of the ruin, yeah, you assume, the castle. But you're not under any time pressure, so I'm not going to make you roll. After a few minutes of kind of checking around, the fireplace itself, you do notice that there is a kind of loose brick, and then when you press it in, a section of the wall beside it does seem to kind of pop out a little bit, and with a kind of gesture, you could pull it open if you wish to.
After popping it out, I'm going to look to Clive, just kind of in a
You do
after
it.
you.
Just gives a smile and like a snarf.
Narf. Nice. Yeah, so Clive, do you just go up and like pull open this, revealed passageway?
Yup.
Cool. You pull it aside, and there is a short passageway that leads behind it. You can see that unlike the others, where a lot of the passageways that you've been moving through of Castle Braewinter have fallen into this kind of dark grey stone, there's this fine kind of funeral dust or, sort of powder that's been everywhere. This seems relatively clear. There's not much color. It's all still kind of dull grey. But this place looks pretty undisturbed. It doesn't look like anything living nor dead has passed through it in some time. It leads a short way. It kind of curves around, and yeah, that's you. Without stepping in and traveling through the passageway, that's all you can see. It just seems to curve round to the right from your position. And yes, it is a secret tunnel. So
Ah,
Secret
Nice.
tunnel.
is it through a mountain?
Clive's secret tunnel song, yeah. He sings it every time he finds one.
Oh, yes. With my super observant self, as we
Yes.
walk through, do I notice anything
Okay,
like...
so you want to step through? You want to step through and start making your way down the tunnel?
Well,
Well-
when you ask that abruptly,
It's almost like I know that it might make you all nervous, and that's why I do it.
I had
yeah, I
assumed...
step through, Mark. I just go in. I'm going.
Anna, what are you saying?
I was following Clive.
Yeah,
Okay,
same.
sure. All right. So Clive kind of leads the way, and no darts spit out at you. There are no runes that seem to blow up as he passes through. It seems to be a fairly, very well made, very carefully carved stone corridor that curves. What it comes to is a gossamer silk curtain that seems to stretch over the end of this small tunnel. There's almost a pattern to it, a kind of shimmering sheen to this curtain.
Hey, this tunnel seems to be both darkless and runeless. I was expecting
Both-
something more exciting.
Both what and what?
Nothing.
Well, I think we could use a break after that dinner party, so I'm not complaining.
Do I notice anything like secret compartments in the walls, or doors, or clues, or footprints?
No, literally none of the above. No footprints, no dust. This place looks like it was almost sealed, like airtight sealed. The stone is perfectly cut. You don't see any secret compartments, but when you get to this curtain, Agnis would notice there is no rail. There is no kind of thing. It's just straight from stone into this gossamer silk curtain. You're almost certain that this curtain is magical in nature.
I'm gonna cast Detect Magic.
Okay. Yeah, you cast Detect Magic. You get the shimmer of Azara's eyes, right? When she casts this, she kind of gets like a kind of shimmering prismatic kind of coloration. The curtain itself, heavily illusion magic. You see it radiates with strong illusory nature. That's the only school of magic you can detect on it. You don't see anything else in the secret tunnel. Nothing else seems to radiate magic. Just the curtain itself.
And that keeps for up to 10 minutes.
Yeah, you can concentrate on that for 10 minutes. So
Cool.
just keep a note that you have that active. If you want to ask me any questions,
Yep.
just remind me that you have detect magic, because I'll probably forget.
I will keep that up. Well, knowing that it's just illusion magic, Azara will kind of nudge Clive forward and say, "It's all right."
Sure.
I know it's all right.
All right. Well, you stopped, so.
Well, it looks like people were looking for something. Well, on we go then.
You're just going to pull it aside or like burst through it, Clive?
It's illusionary.
So to Clive, it looks like a curtain. It looks like a really pretty, nice piece of fabric draped over the end of this secret tunnel.
Okay, I will open it.
Sure. You reach up, and as you pull it back, the curtain's not in your hand anymore. And now it's just a big open doorway. It's kind of, you blink for a second. Azara, to your eyes with Detect Magic, the opening of the curtain dispels the illusion.
Gotcha.
You imagine that probably from the other side, it was the illusion of a stone wall. And then as he's drawn it, it's vanished and turned into what it actually is, which is a big open doorway. But yeah, Clive, to you, you just kind of like, oh, that was weird. I'm pretty sure there was a curtain here a minute ago. But you're now just looking into a large circular tower room. There are thick rugs of woven fibers that line the floor, and there are shelves carved into the stone walls all around it. Most are filled with half-finished devices made of metal, broken crystal orbs, containers on their sides, other pieces of junk. The center of the room contains a large, round, circular desk with space in the middle for a person to sit on a cushioned stool that rotates. A large amethyst hovers on a metal disc beside a squat, terracotta-colored creature with short, flabby wings and oversized eyes. The creature appears to be holding open a book face towards the crystal. To one side of the tower is a spiral staircase that leads up, and the other side is a stone pedestal upon which sits a dark onyx lantern beneath a dome of shimmering magic. There is a large chalkboard beside it filled with sketches and arcane-looking formula. The little creature holding open the book to the crystal looks up and looks terrified at Clive, and it just kind of goes, and it kind of like jumps around and drops the book, and it scutters off the table quickly in a panic. It's just like
Azara will quickly say, "Somebody catch it," and try and like, grab it.
it starts clambering up the walls as like it seems to hear Azara, and it's trying to get up to the top shelves to get away.
Agnis will put on her like sweet forest druid self and kind of be like, calm friend, we wish you no harm, come here, let's talk.
Yeah, make a persuasion check for me. This thing like flies up. It's got these like little short flabby wings. The whole thing looks like it's made out of clay and cloth. And it kind of flies up to the top shelf where it's perched, and it seems to be looking around as you kind of speak to it.
18.
18. It does seem to calm down a little bit. It perhaps looks a little bit warily. It kind of clings to the side of the shelf, and then it flies over to the chalkboard and picks up a piece of chalk and starts writing something on it.
Cool.
It manages the words, no harm.
With a question mark or a period?
It doesn't put either. It just puts the words, and then it like points at the chalkboard.
Yes.
Azara will put up her hands and say, "We're not here to hurt you."
I walk up and I take another piece of chalk and I underline it and I smile at him.
The creature kind of looks at you strangely, and then it looks at something on the desk, the round circular desk in the middle. It looks at Tarkhal, it looks at Clive, it looks at Azara, it looks at you. It goes to the chalkboard, and with one kind of grubby clay hand, it rubs off the words, and it writes, in really bad, it writes volunteer. But it's spelt really badly. And then it seems to get mad, it rubs out its errors, and it corrects them.
Azara will kind of lean in and say, "Were you helping the wizard that worked here?"
It nods.
Oh.
And then it taps the board. Volunteer. It taps it.
And
like,
Azara will say, "We understand. Not here to hurt you."
No, it points at the four of you and then taps the board. Like,
"Oh, you want us to volunteer?"
it holds up one claw. It like points one claw at you.
He needs one volunteer. Ooh, I love this game.
What do
sis,
you
if you
need
love
us
this game, why don't you go up and volunteer?
I volunteer.
Meanwhile, I found the thing we were
Also,
looking
yeah.
for.
Meanwhile, my detect magic is still up. What magic is on that?
So you can't read the lantern itself because around the lantern on top of this pedestal is this shimmering globe of energy. The pedestal as well, this is something that the others wouldn't have seen, Azara, but you do. The globe itself is, I just need to check what school of magic the spell is. I believe it's abjuration.
Oh, that's bad.
If you think so.
I'm just going for it.
Okay, so as Clive is reaching for it, Azara, you register the globe of magic on top of the pedestal is abjuration magic, which is defensive, warding, protective magic. The pedestal is lined with glowing runes that have evocation magic, and Clive is about to reach it.
Azara will scream, "Do not touch! Do not, Clive! If you want to live, do not touch it."
Clive?
What is right there?
But it's covered in runes that might kill you.
Hey, runes never killed anyone.
Clive, please. If we don't know what magic this is, we don't know how powerful it is, especially because it survived this calamity. And our little friend is telling us probably that it might kill us.
Do not touch.
Thank you, small friend.
And it looks panicked when it's like tapping it, like.
We will find a way to safely remove it from this pedestal that is absolutely trapped, and this globe of magic that is absolutely trapped, and then we can take it, and then we can leave. But as for right now, if you want to keep all your fur on your body, I suggest you do not touch it. Isn't that right, little friend?
These squishy little elves don't know how to live.
It points
Perhaps
at the word
squishy little
volunteer
elves
again.
don't know how to die. How about that?
I think that we should play the game, which will probably lead us to understanding this magic.
I do think you should do the volunteer. I'm kind of interested.
Do you agree, Azara?
I do. Unfortunately.
I step forward and I say, I volunteer.
Okay. Agnis, sorry, you feel something in your mind. Do you resist? Do you wish to try and resist the effect of whatever spell is attempting to be cast upon you?
No, I assume it's a communication spell, so I let it happen.
Okay. Something happens to Agnis. You're stood there looking at the chalkboard and you feel this presence, you feel like some force trying to enter your mind. You don't resist, and you suddenly feel like your very essence, your consciousness is being pulled away from your body. Like you feel you being pulled from your body, and you find yourself looking out at the scene of the room. You see your body, you see the chalkboard, you see the little figure, you see your friends around you, but you are just surrounded by a kind of purple light, and there appears to be something glass in front of you, like you're trapped in something and you're looking out on the scene before you. The rest of you all see Agnis kind of shudder for a moment, and then she seems to look around. And in Agnes's voice, it sounds like Agnis, but you hear somebody like, "Oh, thank goodness it actually worked. Oh, my God, I have a body. I can feel. This young woman's body is this is incredible.
I know.
Well done, Gizzard. Well done." And the little creature is just like, and it kind of flaps back over to the desk. And to you, Agnis, this creature looks enormous, and it sits down on the desk next to the crystal, not blocking your view, but it kind of like sits there beside you, and you're just, you can think, you can have, but you apart from you, all you can do is like tap this crystal. Your spells don't seem to work. It's like your consciousness is trapped in
Can
this
I like,
place.
I can't move it or anything, or like...
You're like shaking around. It doesn't seem to do anything. It just seems to be like this kind of ephemeral space before you.
And I can't make any noise, I assume.
You can speak, but it doesn't look like anybody can hear you when you
Right.
try and speak.
Well, she accepts the compliment about her body gracefully to herself.
Okay, yeah, you see, that's the other thing, is you can see and hear everything in this room. Because of the way the crystal is, you can see 360 degrees around you. But the Agnes's body turns and is just like, well, I'm very grateful to this young woman for volunteering so eagerly, and thank you for not touching my work in progress.
Cecilia?
Indeed, Lady Cecilia Braewinter. And you are?
I am Azara Mithras. I'm sorry. What magic is this?
This is a... please do not be alarmed. It is a necromancy spell, but I assure you I'm no bone conjuring necromancer. I was a student of many forms of magic, and in a sense of urgency, I prepared this spell as a contingency were anything to happen to my form, and something indeed did happen. Many, many, I can't even begin to imagine how many years ago now. I've been trapped in the gemstone that contained my soul, as it were. This is a spell called Magic Jar.
Now, sorry, quick note before we move on. Our friend who graciously volunteered, we will get her back, correct?
Make an insight check.
19.
I mean, there's hesitation. Without a doubt, she doesn't answer immediately, and you can see she kind of, she's flexing her fingers. And I think that Azara would be like, if she's been trapped in that gemstone all this time, and now finally she has a form, there's probably a heavy temptation to... I appreciate her eagerness, and I don't wish to confine someone to the situation I found myself in for a long time. Perhaps we can make sure that we are all happy at the end of this. If I trust that you will ensure certain things, I would be happy to return this body to the young woman of whom it previously belonged.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that these certain things involve the tunnels underneath this castle and defeating King Radrin.
Well, that I leave to your concern, although if you appear to be nobles of Cormyr, though I don't recognize all of you or your houses, that I think you should consider a condition of a goal of your own well-being. For me, I would ask that perhaps you take my remains and see if you can find a way to restore me to life, would be my request.
And your remains are?
They are upstairs. No, and she doesn't say that. I changed this. She points to a skull which has been set on the desk next to her. That is all that remains of my body. And it is why that this spell, if this spell ends, I have no body to return to. My soul would be lost completely. It's the only thing that has kept me tangible. Luckily, I had my homunculus.
Where were you before you just entered my sister's body?
She points to a small gemstone on the table. I assure you, your sister, did you say, my lord? I assure you she is physically fine. No harm will come to her. And unless you harm her body, no harm will come to me. I really did not intend for this to be a
ransom?
Trap. I did not intend it to be. This is my only way to communicate with you properly, to explain the nature of my work, to explain what has happened here in Castle Braewinter.
Cecilia,
Lady Cecilia.
I find this is a rare occasion where all parties in the room are actually on the same page, whether or not all parties are in the bodies they should be in. If you have knowledge of a way to restore your body, I will do my best with my magical abilities to do so. In the meantime, I think that it would only be fair for you to explain how this castle and its surrounding area is half within the Shadowfell, what King Raedrin was up to, and how we possibly can reverse it.
I don't refer to him as King Raedrin. The man's ego is already, I don't know what really has become of him. He does not deserve such a title. He barely deserves the title of Lord, and I say that about my own stepbrother.
My apologies. Good information to know. Sir Raedrin.
To explain, we must go back to... do you know what year it is? I believe it is about 1492 or something like that in the Forgotten Realms calendar.
It is about...
Yeah. You see her kind of recoil. She's like, oh, my God, by the gods. We go back centuries then. Raedrin, my stepbrother, was a very powerful mage. Cormyr at the time was desperate to increase its magical power, for the noble houses to have a tighter grip on the wider world. We were threatened by those thugs in Thay, by the Netherites, by the Sword Coast. Cormyr had enemies abound. Raedrin believed that he had found a solution, a way to make House Braewinter perhaps the most powerful house in Cormyr, perhaps strong enough to even vie for the throne. He did so by dark bargains, devils, fiends, undead creatures that he found could enable him to tap into the power of the Shadowfell itself. Bypassing the gods and goddesses that call it domain, he could draw out its very essence through a series of portals and machines. He was building these, working in secret. I managed to discover a little of what he was intending. It wasn't enough to simply siphon power out, to use it in the creation of items and relics. Raedrin had far more egotistical ambitions. He found the way to transform himself into a very powerful being infused with shadow magic. I don't know whether he completed this ritual, but on the evening that he and his disciples, these cultists, these acolytes he had gathered, were to perform this ritual, something happened. Mystara, the goddess of magic, something in the world of the gods broke, and a blue fire spread across the Forgotten Realms. It tore apart mages. I felt it from miles away before it reached us, which luckily gave me the time to prepare this spell and to protect my work. But it was not enough to save me. The fire swept through Braewinter, and it somehow interfered with the ritual or the devices that Radrin had, and it pulled the castle into the Shadowfell. Not fully, but enough for creatures, for the people that were here to become these twisted things that you have no doubt encountered. The lantern, and she gestures to the one on the pedestal, what you seem to be interested in, though I'm not quite sure why. That was supposed to be a method to help me fight back against Radrin. If he turned this shadowy power against me or others, I never got to finish it, but it may be a tool, a weapon to use against him. If he completes his transformation, this power, it's weakening or strengthening. One way or the other, Castle Braewinter will either fully remerge back into the material plane, or it will fully merge into the Shadowfell. Either way, Radrin will no longer be bound by the magical constraints, by this strange chance of magic. Either way, he would be free to wreak untold havoc upon dozens of worlds or people. I don't know when this will happen. Maybe it doesn't happen for another century, decades. Perhaps it will happen tomorrow. I don't know. But it eventually will happen. Now, if you intend to recover my lantern, if we can come to an agreement on perhaps finding a way to restore me to life, perhaps if you're willing to risk your own in stopping Radrin, something I could not, I will gladly disable my wards. You can have the lantern, but it needs to be finished. I never managed to complete. There are 2 missing components. And as a gesture of good faith, of course, I will return your sister's mind to her body, and I will consign myself to the gemstone. But I ask you this. Take my remains, take the gemstone and my homunculus. Let me find a way to live again. I may be long out of my time, but being trapped here or dying after I've struggled to survive for so long, I can't just let things be as they are. I don't want to do this through dubious means. I don't wish to take your body, your sister's body. I just want to try and survive this.
I respect that. Do you... So, Mark, above board, we were sent here to retrieve the lantern because it was a family heirloom, correct?
Yes.
I'm not misremembering? Okay. My question then
correct.
is, Lady Celica, do you have any family?
Cecilia. And yes, I had many sisters, cousins. The Braewinters are a very large family. We were split into 2. Radrin is from one half of the family, my stepbrother, and I represented the nobility of the other side. I have a few cousins and aunts, sister. Why? I'm assuming that perhaps, is that why you've been sent? Has one of my descendants perhaps sent you here?
That is what I surmise, and if we are able to find a way to bring you back to life, perhaps you can reunite with family, though ages have passed.
I will be quite frank with you, my dear boy. I have very little interest in that. I wish to live and see the world, especially now that perhaps it has changed so drastically. I suspect that there may be more to your mission than my descendant has told you. I believe that those who managed to survive Castle Braewinter, those who fled here, the power of the Shadowfell, the power of Radrin is not so easily dispelled. I believe that she may be afflicted in some way, or they may be afflicted in some way. Perhaps a curse, or perhaps a magical disease present in the bloodline. Those who managed to escape here did not escape unaffected, I imagine. The spell plague, the magic that Radrin had conjured here, it was seeded throughout the family line. Many of my brothers and sisters and cousins and aunts dabbled or took samples of the power he offered. It may very well be that this has lingered. But the lantern, the dark light, should aid you in removing whatever affliction affects my descendant as well. That is its very nature. The dark light is a weapon to use against those empowered by shadow or those afflicted by it. The idea is that it will reveal a person's true nature. It will reveal hidden matters about themselves and burn away impurities caused by shadowy magic.
Now I don't want to be speaking out of turn here, and Azara will turn to Tarkhal and the crystal, because she knows Agnis can hear her. It seems as if it would be greatly in our and our kingdom's benefit if we helped Cecilia here complete this lantern, and if we brought the completed lantern back to those who commissioned us. If they are not afflicted, all is well, and we could team up with a reinstated Cecilia later on to take down Radrin before he takes down us all. If they are inflicted, then we are heroes and have saved people from being led by dark and corrupted leaders.
Is there a chance that they are dark and corrupted, and that's why they sent us on this?
It could have been to destroy it. If we never found out who Cecilia was, if we never found out about its powers, we would have just been fetching a lantern and possibly aiding Radrin in his dark quest.
Whatever motives my descendant had for all of you, I'm afraid I can't speculate on. I can promise you that if you do help return me to my body, if you return me to life, imagine this will be a difficult feat. My remains have been gone a long time. This will require powerful divine magic, but if you are able to do it, I'm a very talented wizard, a very talented creator of magical relics. I would be in your debt, and I would gladly see it repaid, in whatever means I can. But also the dark light itself may be of some use to you, even if you... I imagine that the descendant, if they want it for good means, they wish to rid themselves of an affliction, afterwards it will have very little use to them. The dark light itself is a powerful magical relic once it is completed, as I said. And in terms of Radrin, I promise you that that is a threat, and if it is not dealt with, there may be severe consequences for Cormyr or other realms if he is not dealt with. My belief is that he has attempted to turn himself into something called a shadow dragon.
That doesn't sound great.
Above board, it sounds awesome.
It is not great, no.
That
It is
does not sound great.
A very powerful foe infused with necrotic magic, using the Shadowfell, shadow magic. War wizard, you have probably encountered illusion magic that it can create images, it can create the appearance of something. Illusion magic has another property. It can pull shadow stuff to make it semi-real. It can make it almost appear to have substance. With so much shadow magic infused, Radrin may have been possible to actually transform himself fully into this being. And that is my fear. It will not be an easy thing, but with the dark light completed, it would be a great weapon to use against him. As would any sunlight or any sort of magical power you have of radiance or divine power.
And
as do magic swords and knives as well.
I fear asking this. What 2 components do you need to complete the dark light?
Allow me to... I will explain this, and then I will return your sister to her mind. I do not wish to take this too much of this for granted. The dark light requires 2 remaining elements. First, it must be empowered with magical darkness. There cannot be a shadow without both light and darkness. You could do this by submerging the lantern inside pure shadow, pure magical darkness. There are ways to create this with magic, but if you lack those, the Shadowfell itself, there will be somewhere that you can probably find often darkness pools in the Shadowfell, like water. If you can find such a place, submerging the lantern in there for a minute would be enough to charge it with that energy. The other, and this is the more difficult item to acquire, is something called a mote of brilliant radiance. These are normally the coalesced forms of incredibly intense light. these are most commonly found in celestial planes or created by celestial creatures. I'm not sure how we can find one of those now that the castle is partially fused with the Shadowfell, but I'm sure there must be a way. Or perhaps you can find one in the material realm if you are able to return. But it is difficult to explain. Motes of brilliant radiance are created when intense light of good nature, normally created by good-lined creatures or beings that have pure hearts. Such a creature is able to create it through intense light. I had planned to try and summon a creature, but then I was killed and trapped in a gem.
Well, if we are able to take the lantern and your body back to our home in the material plane, I may have a way.
This is great to hear. My knowledge of arcane matters, of history, no doubt my knowledge of centuries ago will be of great value. You have it. In the time being, yes, please continue.
Is it possible, or I should just ask this above game, in my arcane knowledge, DM, would I know if Magic Jar could like put her soul into like a tressum that we can communicate with, like if we need to talk to her again?
So yes, so basically as long as you take the gem with you, she can basically, and you know, this is a bit of a high level spell, but Azara is a war wizard. I'm just going to tell you how it works. What you know of it, not the exact details, she can project her soul from that gemstone and attempt to take over somebody else's body. Now with Agnis, she didn't know what she was resisting, so she just accepted it and failed the saving throw. Other creatures might try and resist it, but even if they do, she might just be able to attempt it on somebody else.
But Sarah Lee wouldn't resist it if we took her back home.
Yes, Sarah Lee would therefore be then trapped in a gemstone, but if you can come to some agreement with Lady Cecilia that, you know,
just to chat with her.
You have like an hour a day of being in a body time, and you're going to chat to us, and then you come back. Like you could maybe come with that arrangement. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
With that, Lady Cecilia in Agnes's body, which has been really strange, by the way. Like, it's Agnes speaking, but it's this whole different personality and mannerisms. She will turn around and say, Gizit, my homunculus, I can communicate with him telepathically. So I can instruct him to write, I can instruct him to gesture, things like that. A rudimentary form of communication, but enough. I've been having him turn the pages of my books to keep me busy while I've been trapped here. Once I return, if you have further questions, I will try to answer them through him. But please, I must impart to you, if the gem is destroyed, that is it. I am deceased, and I will no longer be able to aid you.
We will protect it with our lives. We can promise you that.
I have your word then, War Wizard, and yours, sir. And she looks at Tarkhal. Clive hasn't said anything, so she's just like, I'm assuming some sort of bodyguard creature. Doesn't seem to like really know what Clive's doing, so she looks mainly at Tarkhal and Azara in all this. Your word then.
Yes, my word. Your heart seems true.
Thank you.
I know you're in a hurry to get back into your gem, but
I'm certainly in no hurry, sir. If you are happy for your sister to remain in that infernal prison for moments longer, I am more than happy to take the use of. And she kind of like, she starts like just walking around the room and like stretching and just like, you have no idea. Do you have any food? Do you have any food or drink that I may have?
I don't think do I have.
Well, there's a dessert in the other room. If you
No, we won't. That's not the first thing that you should eat after. One moment more. I want to know if we should be concerned that your ancestor is asking us to find a potion of youth here.
Oh, I imagine no. I can't imagine. She kind of looks at Azara and then looks back at Tarkhal. I believe that as a woman of advanced years before this all matters, I know that right now you see me in this young, beautiful body, but
thank you again.
My sister you're talking about. Please just go to the point.
My apologies. I was an elderly woman before this happened. If I were still alive, potions of longevity, potions of youth, they are very favorable to people in my position. I imagine that there is no ill doing about such a request. likely a woman or man in their later years who wishes to reclaim a little bit of their youth. Certainly, if you have such a potion and you do bring my body back, I would not be opposed to perhaps some sort of bargaining for such an item myself, but I suspect that that will be long past any use to you. Not that I will have any money or lands to my name, but still, I will have my life, which is the most important. She kind of rummaging around it. Anna, does Agnis have like food or like water on her, like as she's like rummaging around in like these packs and stuff? She's like, do you not have anything with you?
I mean, unless it's like, I guess if we're traveling, there's like rations.
Rations, yeah. She like starts pulling out like nuts and berries and like ration stuff, and it's just like, and she just starts like shoving her mouth and drinking water, and she's, oh my goodness, I've forgotten what it was like. Oh, very
my
well.
mouth is watering, imagining what it'd be like to eat for the first time in hundreds of years.
Like hundreds of years, but it's while she's in the gym, she doesn't need to, so it's not like she's starved or being like dehydrated. It's
just I really like
sensation.
eating.
Just like the memory of it, yeah. And she just kind of breathes a sigh of relief. Very well, I have your word. I will deactivate the wards on the Dark Lantern. She goes over, she whispers something in arcane draconic language, some sort of command phrase.
Do I understand it?
It's like a series of code words. It's like a password. You know, she's saying password 1, 2, 3, 4, but in arcane wizard language. And you watch as all the runes down the side and the dome disappear, leaving the lantern. Remember, you must be submerged in magical darkness for at least a minute. You must find a mote of brilliant radiance. Then the dark light will be complete. Do not try and take on Radrin without it. You may succeed, but this will make your lives much easier.
Before you go.
Yes.
Are there dark pools in the crossing between our realm and the Shadowfell, or will this need to be a trip to the Shadowfell?
I believe you will need to travel into the Shadowfell, but my understanding of what has happened with Braewinter, from what Gizit has reported, is that these rifts exist all over the castle. You may see them in the corridors, things like that. You should be able to use them to travel into the Shadowfell proper. If you do so, be wary. It is dangerous. There are inhabitants there. If you can find any of the Shadar Kai who are willing to be diplomatic, a difficult task, but some are willing to discuss and talk, you may be able to seek one for their aid. Perhaps they may be able to help you in locating a pool, or perhaps even knowing a place where celestial creatures may reside, difficult as that may be. If you can find their help, I suggest you take it. If there's any other questions,
I think that's it.
No,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You've been a good help.
And
thank you.
We will keep your crystal safe.
Thank you. And with that, she kind of, her eyes roll back, or Agnes's eyes roll back, and Agnes, you feel yourself pulled from the gem, and then suddenly, it's like you can feel, wind on your skin. You feel like the tingle of your skin. You can feel like your mouth is like, there's like juice and bits of nuts and berries.
I'm like cleaning nuts out of my teeth, like, those weren't mine. Weird.
And you feel yourself return to your body. The little creature kind of like hops up next to you, and then kind of very protectively like wraps itself around the gemstone, like looking around, looking a little bit sad.
Sweetie, we didn't ask what his name was. What's your name?
She said his name. He said his name was Gizit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Gizit is
Azara will kind
the
of lean down and
homunculus.
say, "Gizit, would you like me to put the crystal in my pouch?"
It just kind of like nods, and then when you take it, Gizit will actually fly up and land on your shoulder and kind of sit with you. And he has like a little. He probably goes over to and finds like a little notebook and like a charcoal pencil, and he like sits there with it, like ready to like write stuff down if he needs to.
Wonderful.
He's like a little secretary homunculus.
Before we vacate the tower, I assume this hasn't taken 10 minutes. Is there anything else magical that I may want to pilfer or look around or read a book?
Sadly, in this place, in this room, there is a staircase that goes up. But in this room, everything on the walls, there's all these kind of like half-finished experiments and like half-finished relics, right? None of them have any residual magic. Like nothing here except the lantern and the gemstone that Lady Cecilia's soul is attached to radiate any and Gizit himself. He's also made of magic, so he radiates some magic as well. The lantern's interesting when you look at it, Azara, because it's all different kinds of schools of magic have gone into this. There's some transmutation, there's some necromancy, there's some evocation, there's probably a little touch of conjuration as well, and abjuration. It's quite a complex series of enchantments into this thing. You're not quite sure exactly what kind of effect this thing will have. Whatever it is, it's very built to purpose. It's very specific in what it can do.
I'm gonna take a quick trip upstairs.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. You guys make your way upstairs. Gizit kind of looks a little bit kind of discomforted, and he just writes "why," and then he's like shoving it in Zara's face, like kind of like barking at it.
Zara will be like, just adventuring, and she'll just continue.
I mean, there's no.
I like the
they
hand
can't stop
wave.
you.
Adventuring.
Adventuring.
Shut up. Upstairs appears to be a bed chamber, a rather immaculate bed chamber with a large four-poster bed. There is a closet, like a wardrobe, a very exquisite, expensive-looking wardrobe. There is a jewelry stand where there are some jewels. There's probably about 200 gold's worth of fine jewels arrayed on this jewelry stand. She is, yeah. Well, actually, you have her in a pouch, right?
Yeah. She can't see?
And
Yeah,
you don't know,
tell.
but you would
Gizit
assume
would
that.
totally snitch.
They're not doing her any good here.
Azara turns to Gizit and says, "We are taking them for when we restore her body."
He kind of like looks at you, looks at the notepad, seems to like his eyes cross as he's obviously like talking in his head with Lady Cecilia. And then he kind of flips over, and in charcoal, he can only write one word on each piece of paper. He's probably got like 20 pieces of paper. So he writes on the back of the first one, "Okay," and holds it up.
Azara nods to Agnis.
Yeah, if you want to take it, there's about 200 gold of fine jewelry.
Yeah.
Just on the display. Apart from that, you don't really see anything else in this room. You don't see anything magical.
That's fine. Back downstairs I go.
Okay.
200 gold's worth of fine jewelry, you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Azara will just kind of turn to the group and say, "So, portal to the Shadowfell."
Did anyone grab the skull? Right, with the remains? Isn't that on a
Right.
table in here? If you have the gem, I think it's best if you just keep them together.
Keep them together. Do I have a pouch big enough for a skull?
Yes, just about. Like your kind of satchel bag that you've kind of kept most of your like stuff in, like any large items. Yeah.
I'll pat it in there, and as I'm packing it, I'll say, "Do we want to risk chatting with our good pal Gallo again, or should we just go searching for a portal ourselves?"
I don't think Gallo would help us. He seems pretty indifferent.
True. Well, I feel like we shouldn't venture too far into the castle, especially with so many monsters we're not aware of. But maybe on our way out, we can take another look.
I was, in a crystal and a little bit distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Was it that we have to both dip it in darkness and find a mode of brilliance, or either one?
Mm-hmm.
Both. As for the mode of brilliance, it may be a bit of a gamble. However, I could possibly, once we are back home, speak with my goddess, and she may be able to aid us.
You haven't
You have to
spoken
be
of
home
your
to speak with
goddess
her?
before.
I know this is kind of laying a lot on you at once, but I think this may be right for me and what she has in mind for me, and she may help us.
Who is your goddess?
We can talk more about that in a more comfortable place, if you don't mind.
Fair enough. I have one more question. The lantern, we have to fix it before we take it back?
I would think that if we fix it, take it back, we could cleanse the possible corrupted nobles.
I do like cleansing corrupted nobles.
I do not know if there are corrupted nobles. My instinct is that they want to destroy the lantern. I think what we should do is we should use the lantern to help the lady by destroying Radrin and recovering her body. But then we can decide if we trust these nobles. After that dinner party, not the one we just had, but the one prior, I don't really trust nobles that much. So,
Agnis has never looked more proud.
I don't really want to just go and hand over this magical item when they very well could want to do the opposite.
I do not blame you. I think that's a wonderful idea. And say that the darkness within them is what wants them to destroy it, then handing it over will create that null and void either way. But I do agree we should fix it. Defeat Radrin, seeing as not defeating Radrin would end us up dead anyway. And then return the lantern. Order of operations.
There also is the option, and I look over to Clive. Is Clive like itchy to battle? Is he like fidgety because we've been standing around talking or anything? Or
He's like batting a glass off of the table.
It's like cat. He's like going up to the shelves and just knocking stuff over.
Okay. We could also just try to take on Radrin without the lantern.
Absolutely not. We will die.
I mean, I don't know if we would die.
I
love it.
How about, since he's so itchy to fight something, we find a portal to the Shadowfell and he can try and fight shadow creatures while we dip the lantern in darkness.
Does that sound like a good time, Clive? Shadow creatures.
I was just told that there would be a shadow dragon that we're supposed to fight, and I'm just waiting until we do the next thing that gets us closer to that. Last time I tried something, I got yelled at. So I'm just gonna sit here and read this book. And just like grab a book.
Sure.
And just throw it on the ground.
Let's see what book Clive picks up. Maybe it will be of interest to Clive.
Upside down.
I'm gonna roll some dice here. 24. I have a random book thing somewhere. It is. It is a. Clive won't be interested in this. It is like it's less of a book and more of a kind of ye olde magazine with like a hardcover, and it's illustrated gowns and formal wear for the aspiring lady and gentleman of Cormier, and it's a collection of kind of like catalog dresses that one can purchase from their local tailor. It just gets thrown on the ground.
Grab a different one.
Yeah, this one maybe is a bit more interesting. This is a collection of magical monsters and beasts that can be found in Cormier, kind of like a hunter's bestiary of some sort of roaring gentleman's like, yes, the wyvern, kind of like a monster hunter book where it's just like, yes, this beast prowls in the deep woods and you can use its scales to make this and blah blah blah.
Who's got a pen?
There's probably one on the
holds out
desk.
his little charcoal pencil.
Do that. I want to start like checking off ones I fought.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Kill
Yeah, you
that.
can go through, find a few
Kill
things.
that. I'll just be doing that idly while I just follow them wherever we're going.
Sure. 2 questions. 1, who is going to take the dark light, the actual lantern that is currently on the pedestal? And 2, Gizzit, once it knows that Clive has its pencil, it flies over to Clive's shoulders. And it's just like, he's like holding his hand out, like, give me my pencil back.
I haven't fought one of you. I'll just write your name down at the end there.
Are we going to try to find the potion of youth before we leave?
I believe you already have it.
We do?
Didn't we find it in the
Alchemy lab.
alchemy lab?
Dude, my COVID brain is very bad
That's
lately,
fine.
so
No,
I
that's fine.
apologize.
It's been like
in
2
advance.
weeks as well. It's been like 3 weeks, I think, so since you did that. So it's
Also,
fine.
before we leave, we have to find a portal of darkness to go into the Shadowfell.
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Maybe our horse friend can help us.
Maybe. So,
Well, I think I'll go up and snag the lantern.
okay. Yeah, it's big enough. Like, it's a fairly chunky lantern for you, Tarkhal. You could like tie it onto your belt, so it's kind of like hanging off your belt or something like that. But it's visible, like, you know, and it's holding it. There's like a quite heavy weight to it. But this thing, like, you would basically, if you want to use this, this is like an item you'd have to hold in a hand. So either you'd have to have like a weapon in one hand and the lantern in the other, or, you know, if you were a spellcaster, you'd have to hold this and then have a hand free or whatever.
Okay.
But you notice that there is intricate carvings all across its kind of onyx black surface, but there are also just these very delicate silver and gold patterns that have been put into it, all swirling with all different sorts of imagery. The most common, moons and stars, seem to be very, very common iconography along the lantern, and it's set with 6 rubies at each kind of like point of the shape of the lantern set into it. It's very pretty. It's very, very pretty. But yeah, you guys have the entrance that you came in that leads back out into the dining room. Other than that, there is a door that seems to lead out of this room as well, like a main entrance. Where do you guys want to do? Where do you guys want to go? And what do you want to do?
I'd like to try, and I think Azara would express this to the team. I want to try and go back and talk to Gallo, especially since we've proven ourselves with what we've done. Since he said, you're gonna fucking die. And it's like, joke's on you.
We didn't die.
We're alive, bruh, and we got what we wanted. So if we're like, hey, we're gonna go do something stupid again, but could you help us?
You know, he was waiting out in the courtyard, which is just, once you get out of the wizard's tower, you just go through the main corridors and then bam, you're at the main doors. So you could easily just step out there if you wanted to.
I would, that would be my vote if we're all voting on which way to go.
Okay.
I'm with Azara.
I'm down with that.
Clive?
Just nods.
He's just checking.
He's just writing.
3-1.
All right.
Okay. You guys make your way out of the wizard tower, and you arrive back in the corridors of Castle Braewinter. These kind of weird, half-twisted corridors that seem to almost stretch too far than they actually are. And as you're walking down them, this kind of similar eerie, your shadows twitch and move against your own will. The lights here all kind of play with your eyesight. Your dark vision definitely betrays you in this place. But I mentioned this before, like in sections of the wall up in the corner of the twist of the corridor itself, there are these like tears, like these jagged kind of rips out of the fabric of the wall, out of the stone. And instead of being what should be there, they lead out into this jagged mountainous valley that seems to be made of dark gray stone. You can see it has a perpetually dark night sky, and there is this giant kind of skull-like mountain in the background. It definitely is a very different world. Like, you get the sense that that's probably the Shadowfell. And there are all these kind of like portals. These are probably just not big enough to actually fit through. Certainly Clive probably wouldn't be able to fit through them. Maybe Azara could squeeze through, but you're not sure if the others could follow you. They're small, but they show that there are all these tears, but they seem to get more of them when you head towards a direction you've not been to yet, which seems to lead away from where the alchemy lab was. There seems to be more and more of them in that direction. But the large double doors stand open. You could head outside and try and see if you can track down Gallo, who may also know a way.
Well, seeing that, Azara will kind of pose to the group and say, counterpoint to my own point. Shall we take a risk? And she kind of points in the direction of the larger tears.
Mm-hmm. Based on your knowledge of castles, because you've all, like, Agnis and Azara have definitely spent time in castles. Maybe even Clive has, like, the palaces of the Archfey. You suspect that that's the larger part of the castle that it's leading to. Normally, you know, maybe some sort of grand, you know, kind of meeting room or chamber or something like that. But that seems to be, that's the bulk of the castle where the portals seem to get stronger. It's further in.
I mean, I'm game.
I don't mind taking a risk.
All right, off we go then.
All right, the sooner we go in, the sooner we can get out and back to where my shadows don't creep me out. And Azara will just start walking.
Sure. You guys make your way down the corridor. Again, this kind of odd stretching sensation seems to extend the corridor far longer than it should be. and there is a chill. The temperature definitely seems to drop as you get closer, and you come to a set of doors, a pair of large palace, castle double doors, very well cared for, carved. There is even, I would probably say that in a place like this, there would be a plaque above the door, and written in common, it says ballroom.
Again, Azara will look at Clive since he's been the door smasher.
I was like kind of half, like, he's basically been making sure someone from the party is in his peripherals while he's just like in this book, and he goes, oh, door
Does he put the
smash.
book away?
Yeah.
Gizzit starts scrambling over your body to get his pencil back. He's just like,
I'm just like, no, till I'm done then.
He kind of like crawls into your mane on your head and just kind of like rests there. And so like,
This is my favorite pairing.
I'm almost done with it.
kind of like bonks you on the head a few times, but then seems to settle down.
I could kill you. I won't
just
do
kind of
it.
sinks into the fur and hides.
Aye, that's right. And then I will door smash.
Cool. You don't even need to use your weapon. Like, you just kind of shoulder barge and the doors fly open. They're not locked or sealed. They just kind of fly open dramatically.
Can I close them and lock them so that I may smash them in?
Yeah, sure, if you want to.
They
You
open
close it.
too. I'm just like, these were unlocked. Sorry, and say clunk.
And splinters it apart. Yeah, absolutely. The door collapses underneath your Morningstar as you rip it apart. No monsters or anything come running to the crawl, but it does open its way into the room beyond. A grand ballroom, now gloomy with shadows, and a giant black stain that stretches across once beautiful dance floor. And at the center of this large black shadowy mark that extends probably in like 20-30 foot radius from the center of the room, a single black longsword embedded into the floor itself. Above, the broken ceiling looks up into an open black sky. A cold mountain wind blows in. The whole roof of this castle building has been destroyed in some way. On the outer edges of the ballroom, various nobles in fine dress have been frozen in terror, their skin and clothing now a mottled grey. At the far end of the room, on the opposite side to where you've entered, a grand staircase would have once led up to a second floor of the castle's chambers, but the stairs have broken and fallen away, torn apart by the rift that now dominates the landing, where piles of grey dust and grasping grey vines of pale, sickly ivy have invaded through the portal and now invade the staircase landing. You can see as well, there appears to be some sort of opening on the stairs themselves. Like a section of the stairs has been left ajar, almost like another passageway. But there is the large portal, without a doubt, is a portal into the Shadowfell proper. You can see a winding trail through a mountainous valley. You can see more of these kind of sickly gray, dead-looking shrubs. And in the distance, this large, looming skull mountain kind of staring at you from between this portal, this rift in space. But between you and that is an enormous black shadowy shape on the ground with a single black sword in the middle of it.
And maybe that would be a good place to take our bio break real fast.
We can absolutely take a break. We are doing a longer episode today. If we want to take 5 minutes, we can take a quick break, and then we'll come back and you guys can decide what you want to do.
Yes, we shall be right back in 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Chat, you're doing a great job of being Dave. Please continue to do so
Great job,
as
Chat
we're on
Dave.
break. And
Dave
we will
Chat.
see you momentarily. Bye-bye.
Bye. Welcome back, everybody. Tonight's Eveningstar, little special, extra long episode today. So you've got another 90 minutes of wonderful D&D time with us. And the last thing that happened, as the party have kind of found some pretty important facts here in Castle Braewinter. They have found the lantern that Lady Vanifer Braewinter sent them to find, but with it have come some extra strings. Speaking to the soul of Lady Cecilia, a mage who once lived here in the castle, they've uncovered more information about the plot of what happened here, and they've discovered that in order to get the lantern to work, they need to finish the construction of it, which involves finding 2 magical reagents. Doing so will give them a powerful weapon against the shadowy forces here in Castle Braewinter, but may also illuminate some interesting facts about their original employer and whether they are who they say they are. Or are they, as Tarkhal believes, completely betraying them and lying to their face? We don't know. But where we find the party now is having entered the Grand Ballroom. This large Grand Ballroom would have once been quite beautiful and decadent, but now a large sort of 30-foot radius black stain spreads across the dance floor. In the middle of it, a single black sword plunged down into the floor itself. On the far side of the room, there is this kind of tear, this rift in space that leads into the Shadowfell properly. And from it, there's all these kind of vines and dust that's been pouring in from the other side. There are also these frozen nobles around the outside of the dance floor itself, frozen in fear and terror. Their skin are kind of mottled, dusty gray. And that is where we pick back up today's episode after our little break. So, my friends, my dear friends, what would you like to do?
Azara sees this sword in the middle of the room, just kind of sighs, knowing that that can't mean anything good. And
excuse me, I don't know if you noticed. There's a sword.
Yep.
In the middle of the room. I'd like to pick it up.
I know you would. And you know what, Clive? I have a feeling, no matter what, whether you pick it up or not, whatever is about to happen is inevitable. Go for it. And she just kind of like readies her staff.
Okay.
Oh, all right then. Look, they don't.
All right. As soon as you start going towards this sword, I think Gizzet the homunculus will fly off of Clive and flies back to Azara and just kind of crouches into like your little bag, like.
Azara kind of pats him and is like, "I know."
All right. Tarkhal and Agnis. So Clive's walking up into the middle of this room. Do you guys want to do anything in particular? Are you going with Clive? Are you staying with Azara on the edges of the ballroom?
I was wanting to like examine the sword. I'm not going to try to run up in front of Clive and do that, but like I'm kind of going to follow him.
Go with him and sort of look at it and stuff like that. Okay.
I would like
the sword laying on the ground.
It's stuck, like blade down, like somebody's plunged it into the floor.
I would like to use my magic awareness.
Yes.
Ooh.
So
please tell me, what does that do?
That.
Oh.
Yeah, what does it do?
Open your awareness to the presence of concentrated magic. Until the end of your next turn, you know the location of any spell or magic item within 60 feet of you that isn't behind total cover. When you sense a spell, you learn which school of magic it belongs to.
So it's kind of like a detect magic, but it's more specific kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's 2 things. So first of all, that sword is 100% a magic item. 100%.
The sword's magic.
The other thing is the rift on the far end of the room is also magical. It's mostly the gate spell, but it looks like it's kind of not being cast by a wizard. It looks like it's kind of naturally occurred kind of thing.
I point to these obviously magic things. Be like, magic. Magic.
Magic.
Magic. All magic.
But the sword, yeah, is an enchanted sword. It is a magic item. So Clive and Agnis, you guys woke up. Tarkhal, what did you say you were doing? Are you going to go with them, or are you on the edge next to Azara?
Now that I know that the sword is like, I'm just going to stay on the edge of the Azara.
Okay.
Smart boy.
Do I see any?
I just need a second. I just need a second here, guys. Just give me. Not for any reason. I just need a second. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not for any reason whatsoever. Okay. So
I'm sure it's
just give me.
Sure, it's just.
Yeah.
One of
Just
those.
answering an email in the
Stats
middle of the show.
of my new sword that I'm automatically attuned to.
That's gotta be it.
Yes.
That's gotta be it.
That's gotta be
Totally
what
it.
it is.
Makes sense to me.
Yes.
It's totally not that he's finding out whatever shadow beast is about to pull that out of the floor and fight us.
Yes. Where's
God
the
damn
thing
it.
I needed?
Yes.
This was the one I needed. Yes. Okay. I will pull this blade. So, Clive, you and Agnes step up. When you step on the black stain, the black shadow that extends across the floor, your feet touch it. It does almost feel like the shadow itself almost kind of like rises up like little globules of water. Like you've just stood on a pool and displaced it, but they don't go anywhere. They just kind of hover in the air. But it's firm. You make your way across. You don't feel any pain. You don't feel any kind of sensations of magic or anything like that. You get to the middle. Agnes, you want to examine the sword. Is there anything in particular you're looking for as Clive is, taking the last few steps towards it?
I, of course, want to see if it has any, like, identifying markings, inscriptions, anything like that.
So, when you start getting closer to it, and as Clive is just about to reach for it, you see that it is a sword. There is a sword there. But all of its features, all of its the sword itself, with your very high observation, with your high perception, the sword is being covered by an inky blackness. Like the sword underneath is probably real, but it's like something has spread over the sword as a kind of black energy or black magic substance, coating it, making it look pure obsidian, like a pure shade of black. And as Clive reaches for it, the sword pulls itself free of the ground, and the ground beneath yours and Clive's feet completely vanishes, and you plummet 30 feet down into a kind of collapsed chamber. Tarkhal and Azara, you guys see that the black stain disappears, and instead there appears to be this giant hole, the same size as the hole in the ceiling. It looks like it kind of drops through, and it drops into a room, like a chamber beneath the ballroom. The sword hovers up in the air as normal. It turns towards Tarkhal and Azara, and that's where we're going to roll initiative. And we're going to roll some damage for the guys who are falling, potentially.
Question for falling mechanics.
Yes, please.
If I don't notice the ground is gone, do I Wile E. Coyote float in the air?
Let's see. You're a wild barbarian, so magic, crazy, weird magic stuff could happen. Roll D100 for me, and if you get over a 95, you tell me.
All right, we're going digital. Whoop. Let's find out.
It's taking a while.
That would not be no.
So sadly, you just drop. There is no whoop, 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 whoop. You just fall straight down as soon as it disappears. I will have Agnes, and before we, in fact, let's record everyone's initiative. I won't get ahead of myself, and then we'll do the falling damage. So, initiative, Azara. 15. Tarkhal. 12. Agnes.
Sorry, I was checking stuff.
That's okay.
I roll 8.
8. And Clive.
19.
Perfect. This will be fine. Clive, can you make an athletics check, and Agnes, can you make one as well? Acrobatics check. Just to see if you can reduce your fall damage. No, it's acrobatics. I'm sorry.
I can't just flex into the fall.
Can I tell you what I want to do instead?
Yes.
As soon as I feel myself start falling, I want to summon Candor, and then have Candor teleport me.
So can you normally summon Candor as a reaction, or is it normally a bonus?
Oh, it's
action?
an action.
So I'm gonna be I'm gonna be a Jeremy for Crawford and be Mr. Rules here and say that you are taken by too much surprise that you don't have the time to summon Candor. You just fall down.
All right. Well, in that case, I roll a 5 on my acrobatics check.
Okay. What did Clive get on the acrobatics?
17.
17. Clive, you do reduce this by half. So, Agnis, you're going to take 10 bludgeoning damage as you fall, down. You hit hard stone. You think you break what, there's like wooden pews that you fall on, like a church pew. You kind of like fall onto those. You feel like the wood snap beneath you. Clive, you managed to kind of tuck and roll a little bit. So you're going to take 5 bludgeoning damage.
A hero landing.
Yeah. Fist down in the ground. Kind of you crack the ground beneath you, but in a perfect half sphere. Yeah, exactly.
The impact
a really
sends
cool...
a little shock through my shins, and I need a second to acclimate, but...
Yeah. A really cool anime theme opening plays in the background as Clive kind of lands, and then the camera pans up. Oh. Yeah. But Clive, you are the first to react, and there is something down here to react to. Looking above, you see the black sword just kind of hovering in the air, beginning to turn and fly away. It's about 30 feet up, and you can see this chamber's about 30 feet across. It's about kind of a 30-foot diameter. There are kind of broken, crumbled stone walls on either side, but it looks like you're almost in a broken church. And as you are adjusting to what's going on, you can see beginning to form is all of these dead bodies. You see dozens of skeletons kind of spread around you, but rather than each individual skeleton animating, they're almost being sucked into like a central figure as a giant skeleton made of about 12 other skeletons. Like the skeletons like grip onto each other. They grab the arms and legs of other skeletons, kind of forming like a Voltron-esque giant skeleton that pulls itself free, and it picks up one of these giant pews as a club. That is the things you see before you. What would you like to do?
Somebody's been playing Nier Automata.
I haven't actually, but that's dope if that happens.
Yeah.
Clive sees this thing for me. He just
he's excited.
I'm gonna rage.
Okay, so we see like the swirl of colored wild magic erupt around Clive, and then go ahead.
All right.
This thing's easily within 30 feet to charge if you wish to.
All right, let me see what my rage does.
Oh yeah, I forgot you've got a roll for that.
Okay. 4. Oh, so it's the magic infuses one weapon. So
okay,
that's gonna be that. The weapon damage type changes to force, and it gains the light and thrown properties. Sick. All right, cool.
Okay.
All right, and now I'm gonna go up to him. I'm gonna start swinging.
Okay, yeah, you rush up, kind of. This giant thing is formed now, and it's huge. It's like a giant. It's like 15 foot tall. It's nearly reaching like sticking its head out of the pit that you are not quite. It's about halfway up. But you can see it kind of like turning, raising this giant pew as a club ready to smash down. But you get there first, swinging your weapon. Go for it.
All right. So that's a magic. 19.
19 hits, though not by much. It does manage to kind of pull itself away. So many of these bodies have compacted together that it's actually quite well defended. But the mace strikes true, or the Morningstar strikes true.
All right, and that is 9. Now it's force damage.
Yep.
And I'm gonna do that again.
Cool. Bam. Are you adding your rage damage, Nate? Not to backseat game, but are you?
I never am. So then plus...
It's an extra 3 or 4?
Let's see. That is an extra 3.
Okay, perfect. I've added that on now. So yeah, first attack, the Morningstar strikes in, and it kind of pulses with magic. You see like bone chips and maybe a couple of finger bones from one of these skeletons fly off.
Oh, swinging again. Okay, so... And I have advantage because I'm raging, right?
No, it's on strength checks, not on attack rolls.
Okay.
But if you reckless attack, if you recklessly attack, you get advantage. But you want to do that at the start of your turn.
Right. Okay, cool.
Because then everything gets an advantage against you if you use reckless attack. That's why you might not want to use it.
I confused the two. Thank you.
That's fine.
It's 17 plus 8.
That still hits.
Okay. Cool.
No advantage needed.
Nope. Okay, that is 4. 8 plus 3, 11.
11 points with the 3 this time. So bam, these 2 heavy blows smack into this giant skeleton's leg bones. And you see pieces of bone splinter and fall apart, but this thing's still standing, and it's beginning to raise this giant pew up, ready to slam it down. Is that the end of your turn, Clive? If it is, we have Azara, then Tarkhal, then Agnis. So Azara, Jonathan, if you want to think of your turn, and then Agnis, think about your turn as well coming up. Azara.
So my target is the sword and the
So you
skeleton?
guys see this giant pit open up, and looking down, you see the giant skeleton forming. You see Clive rush up and start fighting it, but hovering, in the air over the pit is this black, solid black sword, and it begins flying towards you and Tarkhal.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna go for that first. I'm going to guiding bolt at the second level. This thing. That's a 21, dirty 21.
That definitely hits. Yep. Cool. What level guiding bolt?
Second.
Okay.
Which is 5d6. Do I have 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have exactly 5. That's 6, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 points of radiant damage.
20 points of radiant damage. So even though radiant damage, the spell still hits, and you can see that the huge chunks of the blackness covering this blade burn away as the radiant energy strikes it. It doesn't seem to take more damage. It's not vulnerable to radiant damage, but it still heavily affects it. And you can see that underneath the blackness, there is a normal looking sword underneath it.
Right.
The blackness seems to have almost coated it in this fell magic. But the bolt strikes against it, burns part of it away, but it does not stop. It still keeps coming. Anything else?
No, but this target before the end of my next turn, any attack roll made against it before the end of my next turn has advantage on it. So if Tarkhal tries
next person to attack it? Yeah. Perfect. Also, just as a note on the movement, so you have the visual, you maybe have like a 5-foot gap around the edges of this pit. And then at the far end of the room, about 30, 40 feet away from you, is the landing with this portal to the Shadowfell. That has been unaffected. That's still there. It still seems physically sound, but you have like a 5-foot rim around you. So you and Tarkhal are kind of stood next to each other on the precipice of this pit in front of you.
Gotcha.
Any movement or bonus actions?
No. How fast is it coming at us?
It's flying like as fast as a person would fly. It's going to reach you as soon as it gets a chance to get to you. It's going to be within range.
And does that look like it did something to it? Like, does the darkness stay off of it?
Yeah, it stays off of it. Yeah, it seems to have burnt it, a chunk of it away, for sure.
Then no, I'm just going to chill next to Tarkhal because I know that being next to him helps him.
Tarkhal.
I am going to toss my Kiss of Silver directly towards the blade as it's coming head on to try to, like, bing.
Yeah, sounds great. Give me your attack roll. And you have advantage because of Azara's guiding bolt.
Cool. That is a 27 on the first one, and then a 20, dirty 20.
27 definitely hits.
Cool. Let's roll that on dndbeyond.com. So that was, oh my gosh, I got the worst sneak attack damage in the world. 17 total damage.
17 points of damage. So the Kiss of Silver being a magical blade, you do manage to strike the sword, and again it kind of carves, and the light, the silvery light of the Kiss of Silver almost seems to burn away some of the shadow as well. And you can see that some of this shadow is fallen away now, but it still keeps on coming towards you. It's like flying towards you. The Kiss of Silver reappears back in your sheath. Any bonus actions or move actions?
You said there's like a 5-foot circle, like circular, like I could run along the wall.
Yeah, there's enough of a ledge that you don't even need to run along the wall. You can for cool points if you want to, but you can run around the outside. But you'd be moving away from Azara, and you'd have to choose which way you want to go round, basically.
I do think this sword is pretty big, right?
It's like a long sword, so you know it's kind of like a hand and a half sword.
All right, I just want to create like 20 feet between Azara and I.
So it can attack you both, basically, if it comes towards one of you. Okay.
Yeah.
You begin moving away from it, and you're not quite sure which way it's going to go yet, but you definitely kind of pull away, leaving the space between the two of you. Agnis Crownsilver, you kind of, you're currently prone on the floor, but you kind of look up, you see this giant bone golem kind of stood up before you. What's the plan?
I am curious whether a hippogriff counts as a beast that someone could wild shape into.
I believe a hippogriff is not a beast, but
it's a monstrosity.
So it does not count for wild shape, I'm afraid.
Okay. Just checking, because that would have been cool, and it was on one of these lists on the internet that was like, you can wild shape into this, and I didn't think that was true.
No, I don't think that's true either. That isn't mean to say, because I also think that's very cool. That's the kind of thing of like, if Agnis, was like, I'm going to go spend some time training with my druid circle and I'm going to learn to become the shape of a hippogriff. That's a cool thing we could do one day. But right now,
In this moment, as Agnes clears the rubble off of her body, she thinks, man, it would be so cool if I could wild shape into a hippogriff. Perhaps I will invest some time in that. Too bad I can't do it right now. And instead, she'll summon Candor, her wildfire spirit.
still blue flamed. Every time you've summoned Candor or any sort of fire in this place, it always appears in a strange blue fire.
Am I within 10 feet of the skeleton?
I would say you fell into the middle, so yeah, you're within you're about 15 feet, but we'd say you're within 10 feet of it, sure.
It needs to succeed on a dex saving throw or take 2d6 fire damage.
Dex saving throw for the giant skeleton is not going to go well. I've got to find where that encounter. There we are. That is a whopping 3.
So it will take 8 fire damage.
8 points of fire damage. Bone, you hear that you smell and hear the crackling of burnt bones as the flame spirit appears.
I believe I can also use the fire spirit because that's their own turn after mine.
Yeah, I believe so.
So Candor will also cast Flame Seed.
Cool.
Which will be a 18 to hit.
18 just barely hits this thing. It kind of pulls itself away, and you see the skeletal forms almost kind of ripple, trying to pull themselves away from the flames, but the fire does strike.
And it does 10 fire damage.
10 points of fire damage.
And the fire seems to do like a normal amount of damage?
It does, yeah. Okay. It does seem to burn the bones as it would burn any bone. And yeah, you see the flames, the blue fire that Candor spits out kind of engulfs part of the bone. Anything else, Agnes?
I can't do anything else. Thank you, though.
Okay. In that case, the giant skeleton looks down at this frustrating lion man that is striking at its legs, and the woman and the fire that's been attacking it from it before. Because I did say it's within 10 feet of reach, this thing does have enough with its giant club, Agnes. It can reach you as well. It's going to do 2 attacks against Clive and 1 attack against Agnes.
Should have used fiery teleportation. Didn't think about that.
Clive, that is only a 13 to hit you on my first attack. That's a very poor roll. And then that is a 21 on the second attack.
Hey.
Hey. You are going to take, my good sir, 19 points of bludgeoning damage. So if you are raging, that would half to, what did I say, 19. So that's going to be 8 points? 16. No, 9 points. 9 points of bludgeoning damage.
I've had worse.
Sure. That's the first 2 attacks against Clive, and then the second one, it tries to bring this giant club down on Agnes. That's going to be a 16 to hit Agnes.
That will hit.
Boop, boop, boop. That's going to be 8, 10, 15 points of bludgeoning damage to Agnes. Kind of swings it like a giant baseball bat trying to collide with you. You kind of have to brace yourself as the wood kind of impacts, and you barely have time to deflect it off. It doesn't really need to move. It's got you both in range. The skeletons just kind of reform themselves, like clambering over its limbs to create new, structure for it to attack from. Up above, the living blade will strike towards Azara. Did the most damage to it, so it's going to go for Azara. Barely, but still enough that this thing would register you as its main threat. That is going to be a 20.
Jesus, yes.
4. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. I rolled an 18 or higher on its attack roll. In fact, I'm going to do this. Actually, no, I'll just do this here. 4. 11.
I don't like any of this.
This is very bad.
Oh,
I just rolled very, very bad.
Good.
Very good.
As in bad for you or bad for me?
Bad for you.
Oh, not good.
I'm rolling very bad damage, which is good for you because I'm rolling a lot of damage here.
Oh, good then. You're confusing me.
I mean, it's still not going to be great for you.
Come on, you gotta give her one or the other, man.
I
Come
know,
on.
I'm confused.
Jesus. So this thing in particular, when it strikes you, Azara, it swings with like a crescent arc.
Okay.
And the black energy all across the blade becomes razor thin. And as it swipes, it doesn't just cut like a blade, it's cutting with magical force. And it strikes deadly true. This is a special thing it does when it hits, when I roll over an 18 or higher. That's going to be 52 points of damage as it cuts through. You just feel like parts of like your body just seem to break and snap. You know, blood, a thin line of blood just bursts out of you as you stagger.
No, that's not thin. I have 4 hit points left, just so
you're
everyone
barely
knows.
still standing.
Yeah.
And that was me rolling bad as an FYI. I rolled really bad there. That does 12d12 force damage when I roll over an 18 or higher on that. Yeah. But you are still standing, and this thing, it just makes the one attack. It cuts you down, and you just feel like as the blood sprays out. Tarkhal, you watch as this thing nearly cuts Azara in two. It nearly cleaves her in half. That is its go. Clive
Well,
of the Wild.
fuck that thing. I'm gonna Wrath of the Storm it real quick.
Okay, what's that do?
It has to make a dex saving throw, or it takes 2d8 of lightning damage.
I think it's going to succeed this because I just rolled 19 and it's got +3, 22 on its dex save. And it has technically as advantage. Oh, no, this isn't a spell. Does it not take any damage on a half, like half damage or anything?
Half damage on success. Okay.
Okay.
So let me roll that real quick. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So half of 4. So 7 points.
7 points. You do see that this blade, that black energy that's coated it, between the attacks from Tarkhal, yourself, and now this lightning damage, a lot of the black, the black magic that coats the blade has fallen away. And, you know, whatever damage you've done to it, it's been very effective, but it's still alive for now.
Did you say that drinking a healing potion is a action or a bonus action?
So I always rule it that if you're drinking a potion yourself, it's a bonus action.
Cool.
If you're feeding it to somebody else, it's an action.
Cool. Love that.
Yeah.
Continue.
Clive.
I probably didn't see that. I'm hanging out.
You guys, you and Agnis have no idea what's going on up there. It's like 30 feet above you and in the corner.
Spooky, scary skeletons. I'm gonna smash them.
You've got your own problem right now.
All right, I'm on attack. Yeah. 17 plus 8 again to hit.
That's gonna hit.
All right, so we have 14. That's including the thingamajig.
14 points of damage.
Yep.
The Morningstar slams into it, carving out, like sending almost a whole rib cage and a skull of one of these skeletons sprawling.
Does it sound like bowling pins every time I hit them?
Stoling pins, yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
You know, somebody, Shady, made custom rules for stoling and sent them to me on Twitter today.
Really? Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm going to tweak them a little bit, but it gave me some really good ideas. So
nice.
Awesome.
And again, that is a dirty 20.
That also hits, yeah. These attacks. I mean, this thing is definitely well defended, but Clive, you'll just swing into it. Such a big target, ferociously, just swinging the Morningstar around, slamming into it.
14 again.
14 points of damage again. At this point, you know, almost half of the skeleton has broken away and is kind of just laying on the ground inanimate. You know, you've smashed all of these bodies away from it.
Clive is also like scream laughing like a crazy person.
I love it. I love it. You just hear it echoing up from this pit. Azara.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Go on. Yes, Clive, before we move on.
If I end my rage, is there an amount of time before I can rage again?
If you end your rage, no, you could re-rage because it's a bonus action to rage, right? So if your rage ends, you could just rage again if you wanted to.
You can rage if you want to. You can leave your friends behind.
Oh.
Thank you. I knew I should have counted on you guys. I should have counted on you guys. I should have said it myself.
Okay, is that it, Clive? End of
I
turn?
will end my rage as a bonus.
Oh, you want
action.
to end your rage? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Yeah, so you end it. The wild magic kind of fades as you kind of shake your mane, and yeah, you're going to get the rage back. Azara, I have some bad news, which is at the start of your turn, if you are within melee range of this creature, it gets to make a free attack against you. That's a natural 1. So
Roller coaster.
I mean, keep in mind, if I'd rolled an 18 or higher again, that's another 12d12.
yeah,
You'd probably be dead.
I'd be
so
dead.
you just manage, whether it's like there's like a flash of lightning from your staff, you feel wind, like fresh wind breeze, almost forcing you to the side as like you're just stunned, too much pain, and then it kind of pushes you to the side as the blade just narrowly misses your face, just carving through the air as it does so. Now is your turn. That was its reaction.
Bonus action first. I'm going
Yes.
to pop one of those greater healing potions that we have on us.
44 plus 4 HP.
Cool.
You can roll it. I'm not.
Let me do that real quick. 44. That's 2, 4, 4, 4 plus 4. How much is that?
I was doing a thing.
4, 8, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 points back.
Sure.
Jesus Christ. 22 points back.
To something.
But I'm still under half. So I'm going to do Azara's magical girl transformation.
Okay.
Real quick. Is that just once per long rest, I think?
I believe so, yes.
I believe
If it's
so.
the
Look on
power
the
from
image
the
of
staff.
Sailor Moon Azara in so long.
I know, it's been a whole season. Jeez. Where are the rules for that? I think it's on my staff. Yes, there it is. So my spell save DC is increased by 2, and I gain a flying speed of 30 feet. Dope. So first thing, now that I have awesome lightning wings, I'm not going to move because it'll have an attack of opportunity on me. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to cast a 3rd level Witch's Bolt at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this a saving throw or is this an attack roll from you?
This is an attack roll from me.
Go for it.
19 plus 7.
That is a hit. The lightning arcs out of the staff, connects with the blade like a lightning rod atop a building.
Cool. That's 3d12, 11, plus 11, plus 1. So that's 22 plus 23 points of lightning damage. Nope, plus an extra 3, so 26 lightning damage.
Woo-wee.
So you watch as in a rage, as this thing nearly cleaves Azara in two and then nearly takes her head clean off. She slams the staff, the wings, as lightning erupts around her, and then you just point the blade forward. And as the bolt of lightning arcs out of the staff and connects with the blade, you watch as it ripples down the metal core, the fuller of the blade. The lightning burns away every ounce of darkness that still surrounds this sword. As the last fragment of darkness erupts, the blade falls harmlessly to the ground at your feet, Azara. Just and it just lands completely still.
As a free action, Azara spits on it.
Okay. Sure.
Nice.
Yeah, you can now see it's a very exquisitely made longsword. The hilt or the handle of it is carved to resemble a black dragon with 2 rubies for eyes, and the crossguard is like a pair of wings, and it seems to have some sort of draconic script written down it.
Ooh, can I read it real quick?
You can, not right now, as that was the last bit of the thing. Tarkhal. So you see Azara blast this thing, and then it seems to go still.
Was that the only threat among us?
Well, you look down, and Clive is currently fighting a 15-foot tall skeleton made out of other skeletons.
It's not a threat, though. We're good.
Okay, I will end my turn now. How deep is the hole? You said 30 feet, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna just and throw my blade. Yeah. I'm gonna give you a roll. Give you a nice little d20 plus 8, which is a 12 plus 8 dirty 20.
That hits.
Cool. And since
Clive
he's
is
within
next
5...
to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So total damage is 22.
22 points of damage. So out of nowhere, Clive, you're kind of fighting this thing, and you just watch as one of its arms, the shoulder joint, is shattered by some flash of metal, and then you see the flashing spin of metal from Tarkhal's hand as the arm just falls off, and a bunch of these skeletons just collapse into the ground, just like clattering into piles of bones. The thing is still standing, but just barely after this kind of attack from above.
Tarkhal!
Agnis, and if Tarkhal's done,
Yep,
Agnis.
done.
That was a shot at one, lad.
Thank you, Clive.
So we're in this 30-foot pit. Is there any kind of like outcropping that's like halfway up the wall that I could feasibly stand on? Like I would assume it's not like a sheer cliff
It might
face.
be, yeah, it's kind of all broken stones. So there's definitely like maybe there's like a timber that's kind of sticking out, like a part of the roof of whatever room you're in. That's about 15 feet up. You could try and stand on that. It might be, you might have to make a balance check if you get attacked or something like that, but you could definitely stand on it.
All right, Agnis is fed up, so she's going to just run screaming at the skeleton, and then oh no, wait, not yet. First, she's going to do primal savagery. So she's just gonna, like fangs and nails, very upset.
Capture mode.
Yes. Yep. Then run screaming at the skeleton. Do the primal savagery attack, which will be a 19 to hit.
That hits, yeah.
Which will do.
So you tear into the bone legs of this thing.
10 poison damage. And then
poison damage. I'm afraid that as the poison, you try and inject it into the bone, you try and tear at it, the poison has no effect on the giant skeleton.
Then she screams in anger, and Candor fiery teleports her from that spot, which then does you need to succeed on a dex saving throw of 16 or higher and take 1d6 plus 4 fire damage.
I got 16 exact.
Dang it. Everything sucks this turn.
But you do teleport.
I teleport to that timber.
That tiny timber, yeah. So you kind of go up. The poison doesn't seem to have any effect on this thing. As Candor kind of erupts in flames and pulls you away through magic, the creature is pretty agile and it does manage to pull itself away, avoiding any of the flame damage. Despite its large composite nature, it does manage to avoid most of the flames. But you now kind of stand out of reach. The thing's arm and club won't be able to reach you. But yeah, unfortunately, no effect from your attacks. Being the only threat left, the giant skeleton will turn its 3 attacks. All on Clive, who is no longer raging. 23 to hit Clive.
Hey.
That's going to be, that is going to be 20 points of bludgeoning damage. Not halved because you are no longer raging.
I forgot that was half. I shouldn't have stopped. Oh, well.
Oh, well. The next one is 21 to hit.
Hey.
That's going to be 15 points of bludgeoning damage. And then the last one is a 27 to hit.
Hey.
For 10 points of bludgeoning damage. How about that? 20, 15, 10. So this thing just, like, Clive, you kind of stop. The color fades from you. And then this thing, like, knocks you up into the air with one blow. The next blow, it slams you into a wall. And then as you're kind of recovering from that, it brings the pew down on your head as, like, debris and stone dust and wood shavings are all around you, just kind of leaving you a bit reeling from these blows.
I gave him that one.
And then we go jump back straight up to Clive. Your turn.
All right. I'm going to rage again.
Sure, let's see what you get.
All right. Come on. Let's see. Whenever a creature hits you with an attack roll before your rage ends, that creature takes 1d6 force damage.
That would have been great last turn.
That would have been so cool last turn.
Would have been cool.
Because I'm just.
But you've got it now.
Gonna kill him now.
Sure.
I'm gonna attack recklessly.
Sure, you have advantage. Let's hope it
So-
doesn't make it to its turn.
Yeah, that's a 20 something. Let me see if
That
it
hits.
Well, that fell. I'm counting it.
I mean, see if
one's
you get
lower.
that crit.
That one's lower.
Well,
so-
you still hit.
Yep. Okay. So we got whoop. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 total.
10 points.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna
Second
swing
attack.
again. 21.
That hits.
Yep. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 12.
How do you destroy it, Clive? How do you destroy the giant skeleton?
Dude, can I like? Is there like room in its like rib cage? Cool. I want to like jump into the middle of it and just start like bashing around from the inside.
Yeah, so like your first attack knocks enough ribs out to give you a hole, and then you kind of leap up into the middle of it and just start spinning around and smashing, and bones fly out. You start just grabbing bones and almost like puppeteering it and smashing it around, like walking it around until you just kind of fall and there is just bones around you. Yeah. But you just tear this thing apart from the inside, and then eventually you are just left with yourself and a big old pile of bones around you, and that's it. And that's all that remains. And yeah, the blade above no longer seems to be functioning. It just kind of sits there looking like a very fancy looking weapon, but no longer covered in the same darkness that it was once was. The bones beneath. There is a passageway. The room that you currently stand in, Agnis and Clive, Agnis especially with a kind of higher viewpoint, it appears to be some sort of church or some sort of shrine.
Can I see to whom?
Make a religion check for me.
15.
15. I need to check my Forgotten Realms gods because I didn't write this down because I thought I knew it. I didn't know if we'd get hit today. So, where's my sword case? There it is. This is a symbol of, because I always get confused between all the different gods of death in the Forgotten Realms. I believe it's Miracle. I believe. Yeah. Miracle, the Lord of Bones. This appears to be a temple to Miracle, who is a kind of, like necromantic god of death, who kind of took over from Jurgle, who was one of the gods there. But yeah, Miracle is a deity of death, decay, old age, exhaustion, dusk, and autumn. The god of ending things and hopelessness.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun god
of old age sounds like such a bad tag.
Yeah. But yeah, this appears to be a church to them. In fact, actually, I would say that this is probably like a temple to multiple gods. I think that there would also be a symbol to Shah, who is a goddess of night and dark magic, as well as to probably another one, which I can't remember off the top of my head. What's her name? Probably to someone. I will tell you next week when I remember.
That's okay.
But yeah, Shah is definitely there. Miracle is definitely there. It's not nice. It's very clearly this is like evil cultist chamber. Mask, that's the other one I'm thinking of. The trickster god, god of shadows, spies and thieves.
Is there any loot in there?
There doesn't appear that this place seems to be completely desolate. Looking at the bodies that the corpses were, you see very old, worn, tattered remnants of finery and robes. These look like they were, people who were in the castle participating in some sort of ritual. The only thing you notice is there is a passageway. There is a kind of chamber that seems to lead further into whatever underground chambers there were here. There is also, you get the sense that there is something fell down into this place and has since been removed. There is like a kind of large, maybe 1 foot diameter hole, like a crater in the floor of this temple. Yeah.
Can I read the sword?
Yes, I was going to say, jumping back up to the top. So Azara, looking down, you speak Draconic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just a name, and you figure that this is the name of the blade itself. Etched into the middle of the blade, it is called Ebonscorn. Ebonscorn. Ebonscorn.
Is this a martial weapon?
It's a longsword, yes.
Darn. Wait, does that count?
A longsword is a martial weapon, yes.
Can I
if you're a
hold it?
high elf, I think you should be proficient in them, yeah.
Yeah.
It is a strength-based weapon, so it normally uses strength to use.
Never mind.
I mean, you can still take it. But yeah, this seems to be you don't know if it is fully magical or not itself, or what kind of effects the previous form it had. You don't know, is that what this sword does, or is this part of some other spell? You're not quite sure, but that is the name of this weapon. It's called Ebonscorn, and yeah, like I said, it's got a handle shaped like a black dragon's body, and its head, the pommel, is the head of the dragon with 2 rubies for eyes. And yeah.
I'll just hold it for now, I guess.
Okay.
I'm also going to real quick cast a little 3rd level cure wounds on myself there. Ugh. Yeah.
Sure.
Do that.
Yeah, just roll that spell up. What about the rest of you guys? What do you guys want to do? Like, you've got 2 of you down in this pit with a kind of chamber leading off. The portal, which seems to lead out into the Shadowfell, is at the far end of the room on the staircase of the room above. What's the plan?
It seems like going to the portal is more pressing than exploring ancient catacombs. So, I'll just teleport again up to the ridge, and I'll point out all that stuff to Azara just because I think that she might find it interesting.
And then I would say back, we might want to steer clear of those, seeing as we were told Radrin has all of his portals and horrible creations down in the catacombs below, but good to know they are there. I also got 17
Clive,
points back.
don't go in the tunnel, please.
All right, and
Come up here.
I will go up there.
Yeah, I'm not going to make you climb. You're a very strong lion man. There's enough debris here that you can kind of pull yourself up with a bit of time. Just pull yourself back up to join the rest of your companions.
Before I go up, can I just like take one of the teeth from the skulls of this giant skeleton, just tuck it away?
So that's the interesting thing. Like, the giant skeleton didn't have like a giant skull. The giant skeleton was made of lots of different skeletons shaping themselves into the form of a skull. So there's like 12 or 13 normal skulls you could take, or you could take, like, they were probably using their like hands as teeth, like in the jaws of the giant face that they were making. You could take their hands.
I'd also been fine with just like taking, a little
little skulls.
Yeah, one of the little, like, just pluck one off and little memento.
Take a little skull. Take a little memento skull. It's quite old, probably chipped and broken in places, but otherwise a fine Yorick to hold up.
You just mean a tooth from one, right? Like a little human tooth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you just want like a little babby tooth. Oh yeah, you can just take that. I thought you want like the whole skull, but no, you can easily
just
take
a
that.
little something.
When Clive climbs out of the hole, Azara will offer him one of the healing potions, the regular ones, and say, "We still have a potion of strength and 2 greater healing, and more potions waiting for us back in Cormyr. Do you need it?"
Oh, that's nice of you. I'll take you up on that.
All right, you got a healing potion, my dude.
I'm gonna glug that right now.
Sure. Yeah, you take that down. That's 2d4 plus 2 for a regular healing potion. You can roll that up, Nate.
I figured we should keep the 2 greater healing for the fucking Shadowfell.
Yeah. I'm debating whether, I guess I should fill up. I'll use a cure wounds.
Sure. Tarkhal, what are you doing? These guys are all healing. You're like, once again, untouched.
I'm Gucci.
I think Tarkhal would just like kind of hold up the lantern and just start like walking around and towards the portal, just seeing if anything happens. He's just really interested in.
Okay. So to get to the portal, one of the things that you have to do is where you've kind of got this giant pit now and you're kind of walking around the edges, you have to move past, at the sides of the room, there are all these like terrified people that are like frozen in place, and they've got this like mottled, almost like dusty skin. You kind of have to either push past them, or you'll have to acrobatically kind of step around them. Like, would Tarkhal just kind of like nudge them to the side, or would he try and
I think he'd try
avoid touching them?
Yeah, he'd try to avoid touching them, kind of like, I don't know, as best he can.
Yeah, I think Tarkhal's agile enough that you can do that. You kind of avoid touching them, you make your way to the end. The portal, there's no reaction in the lantern or anything like that as you get closer. But as you get there, you can feel the energy coming out of this rift. Like, it's kind of like this semi-stable tear in space. You can see that behind it, there should be castle wall, but there's not. There's this open mountain pass almost. And at your feet, crawling out, coming through the portal from these kind of rocks where there's this pale white ivy, they're kind of stretching like fingers, clawing their way into the castle itself from the Shadowfell, ordering it. There's no reaction from the lantern, but I mean, you can feel this place. It's like a weight on your shoulders. You feel tired. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel natural, this place.
I think when feeling that, Tarkhal would just clutch the brooch that he has attached to his cape with his other hand, and then kind of just shrug it off and look to the group. Wait for them to come up.
Give me a moment here. That's a good point. Oh.
I didn't even know I was making a point.
No, but when you touch the bracelet, you can almost feel worry. You feel a sense of concern for you coming from that connection that you have with Willowsong. It's almost like she can sense that you're somewhere where you're troubled, and there is this kind of concern coming through it. Almost like there's a connection beginning to build. Like before, you never noticed that you could sense emotions or anything like that through this, but yeah, you're starting to feel that, you know, there's something there. There's a line between you and where they've got these worries and this concern, like that's feeding back to her somehow.
I think I would take a tiny bit of comfort in that, actually. Tarkhal would, just the idea of someone specifically, watching over.
Yeah. Nice. Right, so everyone finishes drinking potions and healing up with spells. Do you guys all follow Tarkhal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would you guys would you try and avoid stopping on the bodies, or are you going to kind of just push through them?
I would avoid touching them.
Yeah,
Okay.
avoid.
Okay, yeah, the two of you managed to kind of like step around them gingerly. Clive? That's the one I was really asking, I'll be honest.
I will notice the rest of the party
Avoiding them.
avoiding and be like, all right, and try to as well.
Okay, yeah, you still manage to. You can kind of step around them and stuff like that. Avoid touching them as you step around. And yeah, you all stand before this rift, this opening to another realm, another plane. Even though you've already kind of half stepped into it. It feels like you have 1 foot in the pool, but this would be stepping off and taking the plunge if you were to step through this portal.
Azara will kind of look at everyone and say, remember, we're looking for a pool of darkness. It looks like a pool of water. Set the lantern in for a minute, get out. We don't want to linger in the Shadowfell. We don't want to lose ourselves to the darkness. In and out. If we can avoid fighting, we do. If we fight fast and fight for our lives. Agreed?
In and out.
In and out.
Hey,
And she'll walk forward.
Okay, Azara, you're the first one to feel that sensation as you step through the rift. The pool analogy is very apt, where before you felt a chill, you felt pressure. As you step through, it's like being dunked underwater. You feel this immense weight almost bear down on your shoulders, on your mind. Your heart feels heavy in your chest as cold spreads up and down your limbs. And you find yourself in a very dull, gray world of these jagged stones. You can see in the distance this mountain. The sky overhead is just black. There's no light, there's no clouds. It's just kind of a just dusky, blacky, gray expanse. That's really it. There's dust instead of kind of like on the pathway. There are these tiny stones, but there's just dust everywhere. And it's very oppressive. As the rest of you step through, you all get the same kind of sensation. Very alien, very magical, and you feel very, very far from home. This would be the furthest any of you have probably felt. Maybe not Clive. Clive lives in another plane, so he's kind of used to it. But it's very miserable. It's very depressing when you step through. Agnis is the first to notice with your massive passive perception. The sound of running water. You can hear rushing water, like almost like a waterfall coming from somewhere nearby. You'll need to explore this trail. But you all very quickly notice, up in the sky, I mean, miles away, but there's a lot of them flying around, these dark winged shapes that fly through the air like birds, but they're huge. They're like large to huge creatures. You can see them with no eyes, just these giant worm-like, long, flexible necks and gnashing teeth, and they just fly through the air overhead. Not.
Is it the Kazoo from Monster Hunter? Is it that ugly nonsense?
I haven't played that, but you know the thing that the Witch King of Angmar rides in Lord of the Rings, those things at the end?
Yeah.
It kind of looks like those.
Yeah. Everybody needs to look up that monster from Monster Hunter, though. It looks like a dick monster.
Super gross.
It's a fleshy, worm-like dick monster with a mouth. It's horrible.
Nice.
Nice.
Agnis will point out the direction of the sounds of water and ask, do we think that a pool of shadow would flow like water?
I mean, Gizzard? I would pose that question to Cecilia.
Terrifiedly put his hand out. He points at Clive and then points at his notepad and then just holds his hands up.
Oh, Clive, do you mind giving him back his pencil briefly?
He needs his pencil back. He can't write without it.
Give it back.
Ah!
Was it like tucked into Clive's fur, like behind his ear?
Yeah.
That is the
I
most
love it.
amazing thing I've ever heard.
I love it. That's so adorable. I need art of that. But yeah, Gizzit, the little homunculus, takes it back. What was the question? He looks at you again, and now he cannot write an answer.
If Cecilia knows if the pools of darkness would flow like water and be in a waterfall, yes or no?
His eyes cross for a second as he looks, and then he kind of focuses, snaps his head, and then he writes, "Yes."
Great, wonderful. Clive, would you like your pencil back?
Not Gizzard's pencil, Clive's pencil.
He tries to bury himself into Azara's bag with the pencil, tries to take it in there with him.
It's his.
Thank you. I love that we all plane shift into this dark, depressing realm, and we're standing outside the door and we're arguing over a pencil.
Yeah.
You know, they say
there is a
pen
winding
and
mountain
sword.
trail.
Agnis?
As a point, I'm assuming Azara took the sword, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I have it.
Okay, sure. Yeah. All right. Nice. Good to know.
I hate that.
Wait, did you read? Oh, it was the name. Never mind. I remember Evanborn. Never mind.
Ebon Scorn.
Ebon Scorn. Yeah. So, what's the plan? Agnis, do you want to lead them towards the sound of rushing water, or
Yes.
as best you can? Okay. So I'm gonna need a couple of things. Agnis, I would like you to make a survival check for me, and then I'd like you guys to tell me your current marching order, who's out front, who's at the back, and then we're gonna make some checks to see if you encounter any wildlife.
21.
21 on the survival. Okay, good to know. And then what's going to be your marching order? Who's going at the front? Who's at the back? Those are the two important places.
I'm assuming Clive's up front.
Okay.
Unless Agnis needs to lead.
You can direct Clive. You don't need to lead the way. You can still have Clive take the front. You can he'll just have you. If you come to a fork, you're that way, and then Clive leads the way. Who's taking up the rear guard?
I guess I shall.
Okay, so Clive and Tarkhal, I would like you both to make perception checks for me, please.
Uh, 9 plus 7, 16.
16?
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay. You travel not for long. In the mortal realm, you're traveling for maybe an hour. Agnis leads you down a winding mountain trail. And the terrain here is oddly familiar. You look back, and where Castle Braewinter should be, there is in fact something that resembles a castle, but it is a ruin. It is a complete decrepit ruin of a place. There are barely any walls left. There is certainly no tower or impressive walls. It is just nothing. Just a kind of decrepit, old, broken ruin. The portal that you came through, the rifts, the smaller rifts, they're all still there. But the building, the Grand Ballroom, the Mage's Tower, all of it gone, worn down to dust. The valley is similar to the valley that the castle is situated in the mortal realm. Looking around, you recognize the mountains. They seem to match up with mountains from Cormyr. The river You remember there being a river near Castle Braewinter, and sure enough, as you wind your way down this mountain, you see a black river running down through a narrow valley. Looking at the river itself, it is filled with those giant long-necked creatures that all appear to be drinking from the river itself. They fly in, they drink. That you do see like smaller creatures, almost humanoid creatures, like scurrying around like animals. And sometimes one of these giant creatures will swoop down, grab one of them, and then fly off with a meal ready to pursue. The source of the river, though, is coming from somewhere up ahead, Agnis, and that's where the sound of this waterfall is coming from. You suspect there may be a plunge pool or a small lake or something like that that's feeding into this river that's flowing down. Do you guys want to go down to the main river, or do you want to try and press on to where this waterfall may be?
I think we should avoid the person-eating animal beasts things, creatures.
But what if we were able to ride them?
That would be very cool.
It would be.
Maybe we should do that after we do the lantern thing, though.
All right, I'll wait till after.
Okay. I'm ready to go. I got those things prepared. So you guys continue on. Agnis kind of guiding the way. You make your way past, and nothing attacks you. You don't encounter anything strange. You're keeping a wary eye around you. So far, everything in this place seems to be leaving you alone. Agnis, winding through the various trails and valleys, eventually brings you to a large plunge pool. The pool itself is not particularly large, but it's surrounded by these tall, imposing, jagged gray rocks and cliffs. The furthest of which has been shaped, it's been sculpted into a huge statue of a figure. You can see a kind of humanoid shape of a giant, not sure whether it's male or female, but some sort of humanoid figure. And bones, human skeletons have been fused into it, all clutching onto each other, much like the giant skeleton you fought before, to give it giant wings made of skeletons and bones, like kind of stretching out from its backs, all kind of gripping onto each other, clambering next to each other to create the image of wings. But the figure itself, the stone figure carved from the mountain, is holding up a giant urn on its shoulder, and from the urn is pouring this black water, or what you think is water. The plunge pool itself, it seems relatively quiet. There are no creatures here that you can see. It is still. There is silence apart from the gushing water of this waterfall. What would you guys like to do?
Azara will hold out her hand to Tarkhal as 30 feet away from this plunge pool.
Okay, so you're going to keep about 30 feet away. Sure.
And say, I don't trust anything in this other realm. I think it's best if I use my mage hand to dip the lantern in the pool, and then we leave. Agreed?
I love that idea.
I love that idea. But also, I think your magic is better served on guard in case anything gets us. So, and Tarkhal will cast Mage Hand, pick up the lantern.
So when Tarkhal conjures this hand, because Tarkhal doesn't have full knowledge of his magic always, unlike Azara, what appears is it would look like a very kind of like slender humanoid hand, and leaves and kind of vines kind of flow out from it. This kind of very natural looking fey-like hand as he conjures it and picks it up. There is the mage hand, as it gets closer to the pool, seems to become fainter and fainter. And then eventually, just before the pool, it not fully vanishes, but it doesn't seem to have the strength to hold the lantern up, and it dips down.
Do I recognize that that's happening?
Yeah.
So can I just like... Well, no, what would Tarkhal do? Not Shady. Don't meta.
Agnis kind of pats him on the shoulder.
Go ahead.
Agnis kind of pats him on the shoulder, and she's like, "It's okay. There's nothing wrong with not being able to hold your magic. It happens to some people. It's nothing to be ashamed of."
I can
Happens
do
to
this.
all
And I'll-
young wizards at
And
some
I'm
point in their life.
I'm gonna step like closer to be thinking that like, hey, it's because I'm too far away from my mage hand. So I'm gonna step like 10 feet closer and see if.
So yeah,
my
you
hand
step 10
strengthens.
feet closer. The effect on the mage hand is still the same. Like it seems that whenever the mage hand gets too close to the pool, because it's only a cantrip, the magic just doesn't seem to have enough strength to hold the lantern up. Almost like the lantern is becoming heavier and heavier the closer it gets to the pool.
Interesting.
Because the mage hand can only hold up to about 5 pounds, and that's definitely how it feels. It's like it's struggling to hold the lantern
Oh.
up, and the magic's fading away from it.
Okay, then I think I look to Agnes because she said that. She's like, I don't think it's me. I think it's just the pressure from the shadows. I think I have to go actually hold it.
Yeah.
Azara, realizing this as well,
So much.
will look to who was it before that cast Pass Without a Trace? Because Azara would remember that.
Azara?
No,
Sorry,
it wasn't
Agnes?
me. Agnes
It wasn't me.
Had the what? Sorry.
did cast Pass Without a Trace.
I believe I can do that. Let
Yeah?
me check. Yes, I can.
Azara will kind of sigh and look to Agnes and then look to Tarkhal. As much as I don't want to put my nobles in any danger, Tarkhal, you are the quietest of us all, and with your sister's help, you may be able to go completely unnoticed. I don't want to ask something of you that you would not feel comfortable with. However, it looks like magic may not aid us in this darkness.
I am very quiet. And then Tarkhal will just start walking. So I guess Agnes will have to cast whatever magic. she
Agnes
needs
will
to
just be
cast.
like, and cast Pass Without Trace, which will make
Okay.
all of
Plus
us,
10.
everyone within 30 feet of me. So all of us are stealth.
Yeah, you get plus 10 to stealth, and you leave no physical traces. So as you step, and the floor here is all like you kind of probably all thought it was like a white stone, like stone shale. It's bone, like you're standing on like tiny chips and fragments of bone, like sand. But you realize your footprints, you're not leaving footprints as you step closer and closer. You're like almost gently touching the top of it. So give me a stealth check if you're moving quietly, Tarkhal.
Yep. So I rolled a 19. My stealth modifier is 12, so that's 31.
Plus 10.
10 is
41.
41 stealth.
Jeez.
He makes no sound. The crunching of the bones underneath his boot stops.
He's gone.
He's
He
like a
just
ghost.
disappears.
So without
You like
a
don't
noise,
even remember him.
we forgot who he was.
We all just were like, why are we here?
Tarkhal, you move up to where the mage hand had the lantern because you have to pick it back up again where the mage hand's like left it on the ground. It's heavy. Like you go to pick it up and it's like, it's like lifting weights. It's tripled, maybe even quadrupled in its weight, maybe even more than that. And you have to hold it up, and then you begin moving it closer and closer. And as you get closer and closer to the water, the shadow pool, the weight is unbearably heavy, but you can hold it. You've got like a decent strength score, and you're an athletic guy. You can hold it, but probably not for very long. What are you going to do? Are you just going to dip it in? Are you going to kind of put your hand in with it? Like the thing you were told was you had to submerge it for a minute. How do you approach this water with this heavy
So this thing
lantern?
feels like 50, 60 pounds right now.
Yeah, it feels really super heavy. And the more close to the water it gets, the heavier it seems to become.
Oh,
think Tarkhal I was gonna say already being I don't know what the word would be, but put down by his sister. He's gonna look back and be like, this magic is making this thing extremely heavy, and I'm afraid I might let go if I dunk it. If the pressure from these shadows makes it any heavier. So
And I own it.
thank you.
What are you
Can we-
talking
is
about?
the-
She was being encouraging. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Does Clive move stealthily?
Before Clive moves, I'll be like, quietly, please.
He has
Hey.
Pass Without Trace too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's plus 10. So stealth check.
So, with the plus 10, that would be a 14.
Nice. Nice.
I rolled
Crunch,
a 3.
crunch, crunch, crunch. you know, it's Clive. He doesn't do many things quietly. So as he moves up,
It's like sneaking in every step is just
Leaves no footprints, but still makes noise. When you get to Tarkhal, nothing disturbs. The water is, apart from the water that's pouring out of this urn, the water is almost perfectly still. It seems to almost cascade into the pool, and then it just becomes perfectly still. There's no ripples or anything like that. You get to Tarkhal, and you can help him with the thing. Are you gonna hold it, Clive, or are you helping Tarkhal hold it up? What's the plan here, guys?
Does it feel like it'd be easy for me to do it by myself, or is it like...
I mean, if all you've got to do is walk up to the water and dunk it in, yeah, that seems pretty easy. I mean, holding the lantern, Clive, like, even for you, like, oh yeah, the kid wasn't lying. Like, Tarkhal wasn't lying. This is heavier. This is way heavier than it should be.
But it's still, I'll just take it. Like, I see how he's throwing
all right. So you get over to the water, and then are you going to dunk like the whole thing in with your hand, or are you going to kind of like gingerly kind of like...
I'll just hold it for a minute.
I was gonna say, as Clive takes it for me, I wanna look to him and be like, it is heavy, right? It's not.
It's plenty heavy. It's very, very weighty.
And you're not afraid of the pressure, taking it away from you.
Oh, of course I'm afraid. But I think there's a chance I can do it. But it is very heavy, lad.
Do you think we should anchor it to the ground with like a tire? Do you have rope? We don't have to show my sister, but...
All right then. Well, off I go then. I'll just do it.
Cool. And Tarkhal, you're gonna stay away from the pool as Clive goes up and dunks this?
No, I honestly think that Tarkhal would be pretty close. Like,
yeah, he's kind of like sticking next to Clive.
Tarkhal
like,
really
I'm helping.
He almost hopes that something does happen so that he doesn't feel like it's just his imagination.
Sure. Okay. So the two of you make your way to the pool's edge, and you watch as Clive reaches out and dunks the lantern in. And as you do that, you kind of look down at the water where you're dunking it in. And when the lantern touches it, both of you, and Azara and Agnis don't notice this, but the two of you, when you stare into that inky, dark, endless blackness, you begin to see things. I need both of you to make intelligence saving throws.
Ooh. I'm not that smart. Oh, I am smart.
I rolled a 2, so that's only 6.
Let's see what Clive wrote. Was that?
I'm smart.
7.
I rolled a 2.
17.
17. Okay. You both begin to see things. Now, for Tarkhal, I know, but for Clive, what would some of Clive's fears be? What are the kind of things is Clive like afraid of like becoming weaker, or like seeing his pride being killed? Like, are those things that would be great fears to Clive? Yeah. So when you look in, Clive, you both look into this pool, and your vision becomes full of flashes and images. Clive, you see the pride burning, the fields, the plains burning. They're screaming your name. Why didn't you save us, Clive? Clive, you're supposed to help us. You're supposed to be here. You know, all these voices clamoring out for you. You have left us to die. Like these horrid things kind of flashing in your mind. And you feel that you were too weak, or you were too afraid to help them. And you know that it's all your fault. Tarkhal, for you, you dip it in. You're in the woods. Your father's gone. He was butchered by wolves in front of you. And everybody's just saying the same thing. Useless. Weak. No place. You don't belong here. Nobody wants you. And these words are just echoing through your mind. And you see these flashes. Clive, you manage to... You're like... You resist. You're like, no, this isn't right. Something about this is wrong. And you're kind of keeping yourself like trying to blink it out or trying to focus through it. Tarkhal, like, you just feel yourself being sucked in. Azara and Agnis, you see for a moment, Tarkhal dips down lower, like as if he's being pulled into the water. Where Clive has dunked the lantern, Tarkhal stumbles forward and is like on his hands and knees being drawn in. I need Tarkhal, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw this time. Okay. Clive, same for you as well. Wisdom saving throw, please.
Can I do something? Can I do a reaction?
So this is all, like, to them, this is happening instantaneously.
Okay.
You begin running towards him, but these saving throws are like one after the
Gotcha.
other. But you're like, you and Agnes, I'm assuming, start like when you see Tarkhal, you're like, Tarkhal, like running towards him.
So I rolled a 19, but I have a -1, so 18.
18.
I also have a -1, and I rolled an 8.
Okay, so this time it's reversed. This time it's more about what you envy in others. So for Tarkhal, I imagine this is probably more the visions kind of flash and the scenes of your butchered father and being told you don't have a place you belong and you're not wanted, and all these things fade. And this time you see Agnis, and you see everybody loving her and supporting her and being proud of her and telling everybody what a great noble she is, what a great leader she is, and you're watching it and everyone's ignoring you. Nobody wants to pay attention to you. They don't even notice you. You're firmly within her shadow, and she's burning so brightly it's almost blinding to you. But you don't resent her for it. You don't feel that sense of jealousy and envy overcome you. You kind of fight it off. You're proud of Agnis. You're proud of what she's accomplished. She is a good leader. She is a great noble. And so are you, and you know that in your heart, and you manage to kind of retain some of yourself. But for Clive, well, there's a figure, and you tell me who it is, Clive, but there's a figure, somebody in your life that you greatly envy, that you want to be, and they have everything you want, and you hate them for it. You want everything they have, and you'd be willing to do anything to get it.
Don't like that. Also have no idea who that would be.
Oh, maybe we say it's like a rival pride, like it's like a rival warrior in the Wildmane clan, right? Like, you know, there's some figure somewhere, and maybe it's just a made up person. Maybe it's not even a real person, but you see this warrior, and you just want everything they have, and you'd kill them to get it, and you feel that envy kind of take root in your heart. And Agnis and Azara, as you're running, this time Clive sinks in, and the lantern sinks in further as his arm is almost dragged down into the pool. I need you both to make a charisma saving throw.
Not that good at charisma. Oh, 4. 12 plus 4, so 16.
16.
9.
9. Okay. So, Tarkhal. Done fears, done envies. There is a brief moment where the scenes of Agnis kind of fade once more, and now there is somebody that Tarkhal would hate, somebody that you would have a burning hatred for. Do you have an idea of who that could be?
Wow. It would probably be my mom.
Okay. So you see this resplendent kind of adventurous mom, your mother, who is this famous adventurer who, you know, and the scene that we see with Tarkhal is she's there, you're a young boy once again, and you're with your father, way younger, being dropped off or kind of just being given to your father, and you're watching her walk away, leaving you in this life. But unlike before, when you were a child, where you didn't understand who she was or where she came from, now in the distance behind her, you see the life that she's denying you, and that hatred kind of seeds in you. But once again, you find a clarity of presence of mind, and it's the knowing of Agnis, and it's knowing of the love that your father would give you, the love that you would have in the village of the people, that kind of keeps that hatred from burning you up and kind of turning you into something you're not. It kind of holds it back. But for Clive, and again, I don't know if there's a specific figure that Clive would particularly hate.
There is now.
Okay. By all means.
That would be Cliff of the Mildmane.
Cliff of the Mildmane. A most hated, bitter rival that has done you wrong in some way, and you hate this person. Somebody that you know deep down you truly, truly hate, and that hate engulfs you. It sets your skin, your fur burning to the point where you are no longer Clive of the Wildmane, but a beast, a wild, raging, frothing beast. And as that rage consumes you, Agnis, Azara, you watch as Clive falls into the pool and is dragged under. Just as you reach the shore and you're kind of calling out for him, he falls fully in.
Can I do a thing?
You
I can
do
also
a
do a
thing
thing.
now as he is pulled beneath the water. And you can't see him. Once he goes into the pure black
Shit.
water, he's gone. You don't see him at all.
I can do a thing.
Tarkhal, you snap out of it, and you're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Go on, Agnes.
So he is still within 5 feet of me because he just fell in.
You hope.
So I'm gonna cast fiery teleportation and just hop back like 10 feet from the edge.
That goes 5 feet. They have to be within.
Yeah.
How's this working? So you're targeting Clive with the teleport to pull him to you.
So the way that fiery teleportation works is the spirit and each willing creature of your choice within 5 feet of it.
You would have to summon your fire spirit first.
It's already summoned.
When did you summon it?
During the last fight.
How long does it last? It's been a lot longer than an hour. It's been an hour because you were traveling for an hour through the Shadowfell.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought it was summoned. Otherwise, I would have done that before.
Afraid not.
Do I, when I snap out of it, do I watch Clive get sucked in? Like, do I?
You snap out of it the second like Clive's feet disappear below the water.
Okay.
And in fact, because the timing is so good, that's where we're in today's episode.
No.
No.
I wanted to try a thing.
You can save that awesome, cool, epic, amazing thing that I know you're gonna do for next week.
Fine.
Ooh,
Wow.
what a fun game.
That was a fun game.
And
Oh,
chat, you
goodness.
did a great job trying to fill in for Dave. Thank you.
Job, chat.
Job chat.
And I
Mark,
When you can
apologize.
say,
Twice, which I
I
don't
do
like.
hope it was a good episode. I know
It
it was a
was.
longer
It
one.
was.
I'm glad. Okay.
No, it actually
Uh,
didn't even. It actually didn't feel long to me, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
it
me
actually
neither.
might have even felt shorter than some of our 2-hour episodes. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. It was great.
Oh my God! Somebody just pointed out that it's a cliffhanger.
Ah!
Good main. I love it. I love it.
Nice.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's it for our little extra long episode today. The team. Well, now you're officially in the realm of going to other planes. Now, team, you're deep in the Shadowfell.
Yeah.
And we've got a wet kitty to save next week. That's what we got to do. Get him out of that water. But seriously, thank you very much. Let's do some shout outs and then we're gonna wrap it up for the episode.
Who first, Mark?
I would like you, Anna Prosser, to take us away because I know you're such an expert at it. You're going to inspire the rest of us.
Aw, shucks. Well, normally I would have Extra Brains on Friday, which is a show that you can submit topics or questions for that you would like DJ Wheat and I to brainstorm about. So I highly recommend that if you have anything on your mind that you would like some extra brain power lent to, that you do that. The submission is... I tweeted the link just today, so it's at the top of my Twitter. But I'm not doing Extra Brains this week. You'll have to wait till the next Friday because this week I'm hosting Twitch Rivals for the first time, which is very exciting. We're having an Overcooked competition, which is a favorite game of mine. So I will be over there on Twitch Rivals on Friday. And also, my dog has not only an Instagram, but now a TikTok, both under Happy Niski. I highly recommend them. They're better than mine. I choose Mica.
TikTok
Hi.
game too. I love it.
I'm Mica. I just hosted Star Trek's First Contact Day. So if you're into Star Trek, that's going to be on Star Trek's YouTube. I don't know. Does Star Trek have a YouTube? I should be better at this. But Will Wheaton and I co-hosted, and we did a bunch of fun panels talking to really awesome people in the Star Trek family about Star Trek, because apparently yesterday, canonically, is when somebody in Star Trek made first contact. I'm so bad at Star Trek, you guys. I'm so sorry. Also, I have a Instagram that's Mika Strides, and you can see my adventures in horseback riding. I'm leasing a horse now. His name is Boo. He's
Yay.
black, and he is a very dapper old man, and he paws his hoof when he wants treats. He has us all trained. He's a very good boy. And that's all. Penguin.
Hello, I am Penguin. Who
Penguin.
she is referring about.
Pengu.
You can catch Penguin at twitch.tv/ShadyPenguinn, where the shade is always comforting. We are playing video games. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Twitter. I am wearing Cantrip by CantripBrand.com, and I tag Nate.
Hey, I am Nate of BuyCantripBrand.com. It's just CantripBrand.com.
I was just telling them to buy it. I was like, buy, yeah.
And if you want to buy other stuff and you also like Pokemon cards that have been graded by companies that actually tell you how good a thing is, and you want to make a buy, that go to NateTCG.com. We have so many Charizards. Dear God, please take some of these Charizards. I have too many. I don't know what to do with my life anymore. Mark.
Hey, amazing. I love it. You can check me out. I do a lot of D&D stuff here on Twitch, but on my show called High Rollers D&D, come and check out High Rollers D&D. We pretty much stream Thursdays and Sundays. Thursdays, we're currently doing Curse of Strahd, but Sundays is our big day. That's our like main campaign. It's a cool sci-fi fancy mix. We're now in the pretty much the high levels. We're like level 14 doing epic level stuff. It's very Avengers. Come and check that out. That's on Sundays at 5 p.m. UK time on twitch.tv/HighRollersDND. And then the other place you can find me is on my Twitter, which is at Sherlock_Hulmes. I'm not really doing a lot else at the minute. I'm trying to kind of downscale on some of the stuff I was doing to try and stay sane. So come and check me out on Twitter, and then come and watch High Rollers D&D. And of course, keep watching Knights of Eveningstar and spreading the love about Knights of Eveningstar and telling people to come and watch our great show. And that's it. That's it from me. That's it from us. Except for Anna's got a thing.
Yeah, real quick. Sorry, chat reminded me that this week is Pawns and Patrons week. So if you like our drop-in friendly roleplay show that happens only once a month, it will be on this Saturday at 10. And I want to echo... Oh, do you have something, Mica?
I have one more thing. I just wanted to let everybody know that Liam O'Brien tweeted Dungeons Moist Dragons, and since I had to read it, now everybody else has to do Dungeons Moist Dragons.
Wow, Misery really does love company.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mica.
He said it. Anyway, continue.
I wanted to give a shout out specifically. The D&D team that runs this stream has been super flexible with us lately, and they do sponsor this stream. They bring it to life, so just wanted to say thanks to them for partnering with us to make this stream happen. Thanks to you guys for coming to watch it. Please continue to do that and show them that you care and that you like what they're doing by supporting us and bringing us on.
Yeah.
See you guys next week.
Thanks very much. That's it. And we'll see you next week. Take care. Big love. Goodbye.